music.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready? The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it. Attaboy.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It is like being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine low to the ground, extra big oil pan to cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when you run so close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it, those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you primed, painted, and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last. There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
Oh, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. You sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
Yeah, you gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. And racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
We can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
Look out there. Out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes. Every gear change, every corner. Perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it? What we do. It's passion, love, which is why we are prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on let me race.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for round 15 of the Grand Prix World Series Season 2. It is the penultimate race of the season and the first day that championships can be won. This is going to be so exciting. I'm Topher Smith, and alongside me, Tom Cairns. Tom, welcome to Argentina. It's getting towards a crucial point in the championship now. Championships can be won today, but if they're not won today, there will only be one round left for it to happen. How are you feeling ahead of today's event?
First of all, Buenos Aires at Buenos Aires, Topher, and I'm really looking forward to see how the cars do on this particular circuit. I don't know if we're still using the same layout as we used last season, but we'll find out very, very shortly. In terms of the points battle, well, a lot could be decided today, whether it's promotion from League 2, relegation from League 1, or in fact the title, because Robin Frijns could mathematically clinch it if he was to win and for Dixon not to score at all. But we saw what happened last year at Buenos Aires. It was quite a car breaker, wasn't it? So it's anyone's game still.
I can confirm that it is indeed the 90s layout that we are accustomed to in the Grand Prix World Series. None of the longer layouts from the 80s. We are using a 90s layout cutting through into the infield. We are set for some great racing today. We're coming up with League 2 first. A few driver changes to bring you news of before we get going here today in Argentina. The first of those is at Zach Speed. Jamie Green, he's had 3 outings for the team, and Mike Smith has made the decision to put Lucas Di Grassi back into the car, basically to give him another chance to prove himself with regards to a seat in Season 3. And Tom Di Grassi, he was out as a result of that crash he had in Magny-Cours. Mike Smith giving him the time to recover from that. He's now back. What does he have to do today?
Well, he has to prove himself in the last couple of races. They still got it. I think that injury would have still given him an element of shock, given how ferocious it was. But I think at Argentina, where I think he retired in last year's event when he was a Manor driver, so he's got his work cut out, to be quite honest with you. And in terms of his qualifying, it's 13th on the grid, which is not too bad, which is round about where Zach Speed have normally been in. I think they've been more towards like the bottom end of the field. But for Di Grassi, he needs to end his season on a high. It must have been a turbulent one for him.
And a second driver change to bring you news of today is at La Rousse. Callum Eilert, after a few poor rounds in the last few races, has been dropped down to the reserve driver role within La Rousse. Max Chilton will make his Grand Prix World Series debut here today. Will Knight making a decision to give Chilton a couple of races, basically to evaluate him for next season. And Tom, give us your thoughts on this one.
Good to see Chilton get his debut. I was a little bit surprised that Callum Eilert had given the chop, because I felt that he had done a better job than Rossi, although they are pretty much neck and neck. So someone had to give way if Chilton was going to be given an opportunity. But we'll see how Max gets on and put himself out there in the market for next year, because I imagine a lot of people want his services.
And one final one to bring you here. And Tom, This is a little bit of a controversial one in my opinion because it involves one of our championship contenders, and this is at the live team. Marino Sato has been benched for a race in favour of Yuri Vips. And Tom, Andrew Sampson has said he wants to know what Vips has got when it comes to Season 3 as he assesses what his driver options are. But Marino Sato is still in contention for this championship, so personally I'm failing to see the overall logic in this one. Sure, you can evaluate Yuri Vips in the seat, but Sato can still win the championship, so effectively Andrew Sampson is robbing him of that chance, surely.
Yeah, I was absolutely stunned, but if he's not that fussed about going for the driver's title, which sounds rather selfish of him to be doing that, and he's more bothered about the team getting promoted, then I can see why he's done it, but Sato has not done enough for me to think that he should be dropped. I think he should be in that card, to be quite honest with you. But a good opportunity for Vips, who amazingly has put his car on pole for his maiden race, which I think we've seen before this season, haven't we? Was it with Castroneves when he made his debut?
Yes, absolutely correct. Castroneves making a big impact on his debut, and Yuri Vips, pole position first time out. So in some ways a good swap for the live team, but when you do have one of your drivers in contention for the championship, you would have thought that the priority would have been put onto them. But as it is, Yuri Vips on debut is on pole today. But before we get down to the grid, let's have a quick look at the driver standings within League 2. And there we go, the top 10 with the gold line there denoting the drivers that can still win the championship. So everyone from 1st down to 7th still in with a mathematical shout. Adrian Suttle is on 135 points, 4 ahead of Will Power in the Leighton House, 131 for the Australian. Jose Maria Lopez yet to win a race this season, but scoring consistently and up there on 116 points, 1 ahead of Idio Castroneves on 115. Sato not racing today, only 25 points off the lead of the championship, but I think now can more or less say goodbye to his hopes of winning the championship, having been replaced by Vips today. Fuoco on 106 and Rossi on 81. So Tom, 7 drivers can still do it. But I think looking at the points we have at the moment, mathematically and realistically, you'd have to say it's between Suttle and Power.
It is, but if they both have a non-score here, then it's game on going into the last round of the season at the Seika, which I'm sure is a track that all the drivers are looking forward to. Buenos Aires is going to be a tough one, though, tough on overtaking as well, which we saw last year. So obviously qualifying is key, and also race strategy. And I think it's a 54-lap race as well, so there's going to be a mixture of strategies between the drivers in terms of how they can make the strategy work, whether they do the 1-stop or the 2-stop.
And in the team standings going into our penultimate round of the League 2 Championship, Leighton House, as you can see in the green there, already promoted into League 1. They clinched that last time out in Brno in the Czech Republic. A great season by them from Chris Cavani and the team. And they have not secured the title yet, but they have secured promotion into League 1. That was the team's aim going into the season, and they have accomplished that. Life there on 228 points, HRT on 213. And we have the gold line there, Tom, to say that it is only the top 3 who can win the title in League 2. And the green line there denoting who can still gain promotion. So 5 teams going for 3 places here, Tom.
It is, but I have to say that Life and Hispania are very much nearly over the line with where they are. So Eurobrun and LaRousse have got their work cut out to make sure they do get a strong result. I mean, LaRousse have struggled this season for me, despite that brilliant start to the season where they had 2 victories in the first 4 races at Taupo and Yongam, but nothing really had gone right for them since. So, in my opinion, they are out of it. Eurobrun are the most likely out of the 2 to deprive either Life or HRT promotion, but it's highly unlikely.
And with a good lineup at Eurobrun as well, Jose Maria Lopez 6 podiums this season, and Marcus Finkelhock always getting better, getting himself into the points. Is looking good for Eurobrun to challenge the likes of HRT going into the last couple of rounds of the championship. But for now, Tom, let's get down to trackside and bring you through the grid. And as we said earlier, Yuri Vips on pole position on debut. A great job there from the live driver to qualify over a 10th ahead of Will Power, who will join him on the front row. Alex Lynn and HRT will start 3rd ahead of Antonio Fuoco in the second life. A good job from them if they want to secure promotion into League 1 for next season. Alan McNish, a great job in the Scuderia Coloni to head up row 3 ahead of Marcus Finkelhock. He and Jose Maria Lopez will need to get as many points as possible if they want to get that top 3 position by season's end. Adrian Sutil, our championship leader, is in 7th ahead of Will Stevens. Max Chilton on debut, 9th place for him, a great job in the LaRousse ahead of Christian Lundgaard in the Scuderia Coloni. Scott Speed and Jose Maria Lopez make up row 6 ahead of the returning Lucas Di Grassi, who outqualifies his teammate Sam Bird on his return to the Grand Prix World Series with the Zach Speed team. Alexander Rossi there in the bottom half of row 7. 15th place for Jake Dennis, his best qualifying of the season so far in the Andrea Moda, ahead of Sergio Sette Camara in the Pacific Grand Prix. Sam Bird and Jerome D'Ambrosio make up row 9, ahead of Jack Aitken and Sergei Sorokin. It is an all-Force India row 10. Can they score any much-needed points today from there? Row 11 and 21st place for Mike Conway and 22nd for Oliver Turvey in all Real row 11 there. Row 12 is Esteban Gutierrez and Gaston Mazzucani in the two Fomitals, and Helio Castroneves held up in qualifying and not able to get a fast time. He will start from 25th today. And Brendan Hartley last on the grid as a result of picking up a back of the grid penalty at the last race in Brno. And Tom, Yuri Vips, the guy we're looking at now, pole position on debut. What can he do from there?
I think he can do a cracker of a start. This is really important, though, on a circuit that's not so easy to overtake, so we'll see how this goes. I've been to see how Castroneves does from the back, because he needs a very strong result here.
Castroneves going from 25th place today. His teammate Will Power in 2nd, looking to get a better start as he takes aim at the lead of this race, as he chases down the championship. And we are off and away in Buenos Aires. It looks like it's a good start from Vips, but it looks like it's an even better start from Will Power, doing exactly what he wanted to as he powers past the life into the lead here in Argentina. Alex Lynn following them through in 3rd place. Will Power holding down the inside line on Yuri Vips. Vips looks like he's trying to hold on around the outside, but Will Power keeps the inside line and keeps hold of the lead. Or does he actually? Because Vips has got a really good exit out of turn 1 and now is now down the inside into turn 2 as he takes the inside line there. Looks like he's retaken the lead from his Australian rival there. Going down the inside into 3. No, Will Power's still there. These guys running side by side here. Absolutely fantastic battle between these two. And Yuri Vips finally finds the grip around the outside and makes the move stick to keep hold of the lead there. Cutting across the front of Leighton House. Tom, what a fantastic start to the race for those two. They ran side by side for about 5 corners there.
Just what we wanted to see there. You could just see Marcus Winkelhock trying to make a move on Alan Nish for 5th place. Winkelhock ahead of his teammate Lopez as well. I can't remember where Winkelhock had started actually. I think did he out-qualify Lopez?
Yeah, Winkelhock was in 6th place on the grid. Lopez down in 12th. So Lopez making a very good start to get up from 12th into 7th place there. And Yuri Vips, a brilliant start by him to hold on to the lead from Will Power.
So Vips beginning to pull away from the rest of the field now. After that brilliant overtake on Will Power to retake the lead. Alex Len looking to pounce in 3rd place in the HRT. Then Froko, McNish, Winkelhock, Lopez, Stevens, Max Chilton on his debut for the race in 9th place. Adrian Sutil down in 10th.
Not good at the moment for our championship leader, Adrian Sutil. He can win the championship today if results go his way, but as it stands, he will not be taking home that title just yet. Might be looking forward to Laguna Seca, but we do still have 53 laps to run left here in Buenos Aires. As Adrian Sutil down the inside of Max Chilton into 9th place. A great move there, textbook overtake from the German, and he moves into 9th place. An extra point up for grabs there for the HRT driver. And there is the other HRT running on board with Will Power, looking back at Alex Lynn, the race winner this season in Magny Cours, now running in 3rd. What can he do from there today?
Well, it's an important day for HRT in their battle with Eurobron and LaRousse. And HRT going into the round, just looking to see where they are in relation to Eurobron.
All very close there from Alex Lynn, trying to get down the inside of Will Power into the Ascari corner there. Not able to make the move stick as Will Power cuts him off and keeps hold of 2nd place. But this guy here, Yuri Vips, pulling away at the front, 1.3 seconds in the lead. And Tom, this is effectively an audition. Oh, Will Stevens getting a little bit locked up there. But this is effectively an audition for Yuri Vips. He's been brought in to their race seat for Andrew Sampson to evaluate him going into season 3. And could he possibly take the seat of Antonio Fuoco or Marino Sato? And one thing that Andrew Sampson did say when making the announcement going into this race, Tom, for this round it would be Marino Sato who moves aside, and for the next race it will be Antonio Fuoco. But today, Yuri Vips running first. This is a perfect start to his audition for a season 3 seat.
Absolutely brilliant, posting the new fast off the race. It is only at the end of lap 2 though. And going back to what I was saying about HRT and Eurobron, they need to essentially outscore Eurobron in order to get promotion, because there's no way surely that the race will threaten, given their form in the second half of the season. There was a move there. I think that was Adrian Suttill passing Will Stevens down at turn 1 to go up into 8th place.
It was indeed Adrian Suttill into 3rd and the other HRT all over the back of Will Power here. That Leighton House started this race well, but is now falling into the clutches of Alex Lynn and Antonio Fuoco right behind them as well, looking a little bit menacing, but not quite on the back of this battle yet. Alex Lynn having another look down into his scurry curve and again having to get out of it. Will Power holding on to that second place and driving defensively. This is allowing Juri Vips to get off up the road. 2.2 seconds already in the lead. There he is, the Estonian in his Grand Prix World Series debut here today, driving absolutely beautifully. But we do still have a long way to go, Tom. We've said it so many times this season. You can have all the speed that you like, but it will come at the cost of reliability. This race is not over yet.
Not by any stretch. Vips pulling out 2.5 second lead already. He's flying at the moment. Has he got a lighter fuel load making him go faster at this point? I'd be interested to know. I don't know if we've got an opportunity to look on the dashes of these cars, but this is looking good so far for Vips in life's pursuits of promotion. As it stands, they will get promoted with the fact that Vips is in the lead and Froco in 4th place, and with Eurobron not outscoring them as it stands.
So fuel load's a very good point there from Tom Cairns. Vips could be running a bit of a lighter fuel load at the moment. We have not yet seen who is on what fuel load as it stands. Power under attack from Alex Lynn could be maybe running to a 1-stop strategy, while Vips on a 2-stop strategy. We will find out as this race progresses. The 1-stoppers will be coming in around about lap 27, around about half distance, and as for the 2-stoppers, I imagine we'll probably start to see them anywhere between laps 11 to 15, around about that sort of area. And Alex Lynn running quite wide there, getting into the dirty air of Will Power, still trying to find a way past the Australian, but Power running very defensively at the moment. And Lynn now probably looking a bit more in his mirrors, with Antonio Fuoco looking to get himself up into the podium positions, like looking very good to secure promotion as well today, but we do still have a long way to go. McNish there in 5th position, and here is his teammate Christian Lundgaard running in 13th at the moment. He's also effectively auditioning for a seat in Season 3 as well. Gemma Dixon, the team principal of the Scuderia Colonia team, brought him on board mid-season as a replacement for Perry McCarthy, and I mean, Christian Lundgaard, he's done an okay job, hasn't he, Tom? He hasn't exactly set the world alight so far in his first season within the Grand Prix World Series, but I'd say he's done a fair job. He's got 2 points finishes to his name so far, a 7th place finish in Magny-Cours and an 8th place finish in Estoril. Running 13th at the moment as Lopez coming under attack from Suttill, who makes up another position there. Suttill absolutely on form at the moment, as he wants to try and secure the title today if he can. Tom, Christian Lundgaard, solid but not spectacular so far, I'd say.
And I'll say one driver who's been spectacular in this race, that's Helio Castroneves in 14th place. He's been on fire since the start of this one, and the next man up from him is the man you've just been talking about, Christian Lundgaard.
So Helio Castroneves started this race second to last, P25. He's now up in 14th place, and we are only on lap 5 out of 54. What a start for the Brazilian, Tom, another driver who can win the title this season.
Yeah, and Rossi under pressure from the Pacific that will be Brendan Hartley, who's also made up good ground from the back of the grid, so he's on form as well. We've seen some brilliant battles and definitely a lot more overtaking here than we did so last year. Bear in mind, we are using a slightly different mod of the Buenos Aires circuit in the 90s to what we used last year.
It is a version of the mod that is proving to be better racing so far within the Grand Prix World Series. Plenty of overtakes already, more than anyone. Helio Castroneves up was 11th place. Sorry, my math just failed me for a little bit there. Castroneves up from P25 to P14, a great start there for the Brazilian. We'll keep an eye on his progress for the rest of the race. With that sort of progress, Tom, I imagine points are definitely on the table for the Brazilian today.
Most definitely so, and it won't be too long before he gets onto the rear of Christian Lundgaard. He's right in the slipstream of him, and if he's going to get the move done into turn 1, I would reckon. Has he done it? He's not done it yet, has he? So maybe just wait behind a little bit.
No, he hasn't done it quite yet. We're riding on board at the moment with Alex Lynn still over the back of Will Power and 4.7. Now the gap between Juri Vips and Will Power. Vips absolutely flying, but I think you called it right earlier, Tom. I think Vips must be on a lighter fuel load at the moment, because that life car is very powerful, but it's not that much more powerful than the Leighton House at the moment. So while Vips is driving a great race at the moment, I imagine there is an element of fuel strategy right there.
We just see Chilton trying to make a move on his compatriot Will Stevens, go up into 9th place, but can't make the move stick. into that hairpin there. And what I would say is about Lundgaard, I think, sorry for ignoring your point there about Lundgaard, he is auditioning for a drive next year, and I do hope someone picks him. I think he's definitely got what it takes. Just needs to be in a faster machine than the Coloni at the moment.
It is getting towards crunch time in the championship with titles up for grabs today. They will definitely be won at the next round in Laguna Seca. But also crunch time, Tom, is the driver market. It's been talked about a lot within the Grand Prix World Series and the team principals. Juri Vips is one of those drivers auditioning for a race seat full time in Season 3. But a lot of drivers now thinking it's now or never if they are to secure seats going into next season, as Helio Castroneves now down the inside of Christian Lundgaard and into 13th place. Another overtake there from the Leighton House driver. You can see his countryman there, Sergio Sette Câmara, up ahead. And Sette Câmara seeing his fellow Brazilian there in his mirrors. I don't think he'll put up too much of a challenge to Helio Castroneves there.
No, it was some dunk manoeuvre there from Castroneves. I think once he was pulling out of the slipstream, as they crossed the start-finish line, they knew who was going to come out on top in that one. So Vips at the moment is pulling out a second a lap on the rest of the field at the moment. He's absolutely on form. He's got to be on he's got to be on a two-stop, hasn't he? I'm interested to see who's doing the same as well, because Fingerhock is only a couple of seconds, or just over a couple of seconds behind Froco. I wonder if the top four are all on two stops, except maybe... Oh, DeGrassi's in trouble though.
And there is our first retirement of the race. Lucas Di Grassi returning to the Grand Prix World Series after having been substituted for Jamie Green for a few races. His return only lasting 6 laps this day. That is a shame for the Brazilian driver in the Zach Speed. Mike Smith won't be at all happy to see that. He's now looking more forward to Season 3, trying to get a bit more reliability into that car. And Lucas Di Grassi, our first retirement of the race.
So Di Grassi's return to the Zach Speed team ending in an ignominious fashion with an engine failure. Castroneves pulling up another move on his compatriot Sergio Sette Câmara into the first turn, and that's another position gain there from one of the championship protagonists.
Now, Tom, I feel as though I have to ask this question regarding the live team, because we saw it as quite controversial when the statement came through. Juri Vips in the lead at the moment by 6.2 seconds. That is Marino Sato's car, don't forget. So it begs the question, how would this race be going if it was Marino Sato still in that car and still with a chance of taking this championship?
I think it would still be in the frame, definitely for points anyway. But he's doing a fine job. I think he's thinking more about the long-term thing for life rather than what it is now. So I think whilst they're about to get promotion into League One, they're probably thinking about their chances for next season, because I've got a feeling the likes of Leighton House and Life, and possibly HRT, could end up taking the fight to all those challenging for the title in Season 3. And if that's the case, we're going to be in for a hell of a championship next year.
It is going to be absolutely fascinating. In Season 3, we will also see the introduction of a new league into the Grand Prix World Series. We will have League 3 added, opening up the championship for 13 more teams to join. We will reveal more details of who those teams are at the end of the season, but it's going to be absolutely fascinating. It will be bigger and better. But for now, let's focus on the present. Will Power there, still under attack from Alex Lynn, as Christian Lundgaard's down the inside there of Sergio Sette Câmara, and he moves up into 13th place. So Câmara losing a couple of positions within the last couple of laps, losing 12th place to Helio Castroneves, and now losing 13th to Christian Lundgaard. Not the direction that Pacific will want to go. And Alex Lynn here, once again having a look into the Ascari corner there, at the back of Will Power, but not able to find a way through past the Australian. These two battling away with each other, Tom. This is allowing Juri Vips to say thank you very much, I'm clearing off into the league.
Yeah, the gap is now just over 7 seconds, and this is crucial for Vips' race because the pit entry is before the last proper corner, if you like. So in terms of the amount of time in the pits, it's crucial. Stevens goes off.
Oh, is he going to hold on to that? Oh, very well held that, man. Will Stevens doing a little bit of rallycross there by the looks of it. He loses out position to Max Chilton, trying to get down the inside there again. Coming out just in front of his teammate Scott Speed, but what about that for car control, Tom? I thought he was on a rallycross course for a moment there.
Yeah, it looks as though probably good for his CV when he does finish his Grand Prix World Series career. Yeah, that was rather lucky of him, and probably lucky that there was a lot of space between the grass and the barrier there, so he's used that to good use and get back on the racetrack. He nearly got back through as well on Chilton at the next turn, so I wonder if the stewards would have made a look at that, to be honest with you, because I could imagine it gained some form of advantage by the ways rejoined back onto the circuit, but overall it was absolutely fine. Castroneves has got past Scott Speed, by the way. Castroneves up to 11th place. Now, Lynn needs to try and line the move on Will Power to get up into second place, and clearly the Ascari corner is not where he needs to pass him. He needs to pass him down at turn 1 and get close up behind him. And we can see there Degrassi, the only driver out of the race, just when Gutierrez, the last of the runners, in 25th position. But remember, Topher, 9 drivers crossed the start-finish line at the end of the race of last year's event.
That is very true, Tom, and don't worry, I tend to trip up over my worms a lot of the time as well when there's a lot of action going on. As always happens in the Grand Prix World Series, there's so much action that goes on within these races. Sometimes you do trip up over your worms a little bit and tend to get a little bit flustered, but Tom, that's what we love about this championship. There is so much going on. It's so competitive, it's so exciting to watch, and we still have this battle going on between Will Power and Alex Lynn. We cut now to Alan McNish running 6th place. And is he slowing down there? He is indeed. It's a transmission problem there for Alan McNish. Another retirement there for the Scotsman. I think we're losing count of how many times he's retired out of this championship so far. I believe that's his 9th time that he has retired from a Grand Prix this season. This time the gearbox packing in, and Alan McNish, for me, one of the best drivers. Oh, Will Power's going for a spin. Will Power's spinning out of 2nd place. And that, I don't think he was hit by Alex Lynn. I think that was all on his own. Probably under pressure from the HRT to keep the position there. But Will Power spinning off, and oh, that is going to be a retirement for Will Power. The wheel has fallen off. These cars are so fragile this season. And Will Power, oh, that is such a shame, Tom. He was driving so well in defence of Alex Lynn. And it has all come to naught as he spins out of contention.
And that changes the complexion of the championship. It was 4 points behind leaders Suttil, and with Power not scoring, and Suttil now in 5th place. That's good news for Suttil, and good news for those further down in the championship, the likes of Lopez, Castroneves as well. That's really bad news there for Will Power in terms of trying to rejoin. That promotes Alex Lynn up into 2nd place then, Froco 3rd, Finkelhock 4th, and Suttil in 5th place. Yeah, that's bad news there for Will Power. He really didn't need that at all. At least that promotes Castroneves up to 9th place, and Christian Lundgaard up to 10th now, so he's made up a few places since we last spoke about him.
I don't think Will Power has anyone to blame there except himself. A complete driver error there from the Australian, under pressure from the HRT of Alex Lynn, and that's what happens when you have the pressure applied to you. You can force you to make a mistake, and Alex Lynn there applying as much pressure as he could to Will Power there, and ultimately it paid off as Will Power spins himself out of contention and out of the race. This gives Vips even more of an advantage out front. The gap's now 9.6 seconds, and it's gotten to that point now, Tom, where even if this is going to be a lighter fuel load for the Estonian, I think he's got a comfortable enough margin there that it won't matter who's on what strategy. I think he can breathe easy there.
Yeah, I think with the lead that he's got, he could potentially come out in front of the Lopez-Chilton battle, but he could even go in front of Suttil if he keeps carrying on with the pace that he's showing at the moment. So Rossi in 13th place, got caught out in the turbulent air, I think, from Sergio Sette Cameras Pacific, so he sits behind him a little bit longer, and Castroneves has got past Will Stevens for 8th, and he's on the tail of Max Chilton's LaRousse.
Castroneves has been absolutely flying in this race. He started P25, would have been last had it not been for the back of the grid penalty that Brendan Hartley picked up at the last round. And we are now on lap 13, and he's already up into 8th place. He will have been told about the retirement of his teammate Will Power, and is now doing everything that he can to get himself as far forward in this race as he can. His next target, Max Chilton. There is less than a second between those two, and Castroneves chasing down the debuting Brit in the LaRousse for this race, and possibly for the next race as well, depending on what Will Knight wants to do with Chilton. But at the moment, Tom, I think it's fair to say Max Chilton doing a fine job in that LaRousse.
Yeah, just seen a pit stop actually for Oliver Turvey at the Real squad. I think that's the first scheduled pit stop of the race at the end of lap 12. So I wonder if the leaders will think about starting to come in if they're doing the 2-stop, particularly Vips.
This is a roundabout where we will start to see the 2 stoppers coming into the pits, and is Vips on a lighter fuel load? We believe he might be given his pace advantage. At the moment, it's now 10 seconds between himself and Alex Lynn. We will wait to see whether Yuri Vips does indeed come into the pits this time around. We're looking at Alex Lynn at the moment. He carries on for another lap, as does Antonio Fuoco, I believe. I saw him going past the pit entry first time around, and Vips has gone on to start lap 14, so not coming into the pits just yet, the race leaders, but we will keep a keen eye to see who comes in where, because it could be very telling of who will end up winning this race.
So Vips' lead is 10 seconds now over Lynn in second place. Fuoco is third, 1.5 seconds further behind. Then it's Marcus Winkelhock ahead of Adrian Sutter, who's crucially in 5th place and potentially on course to extend his championship lead.
So Yuri Vips leads, Alex Lynn second, Antonio Fuoco in third, both live cars on the podium as it stands, and that will be very important for them as they chase promotion into League One for Season 3. Marcus Winkelhock running very well in 4th place in the Eurorun ahead of Adrian Sutil, our championship leader. His progress stalling a little bit. He's about 5 seconds behind the Eurorun of Winkelhock in 5th place, but has a comfortable gap to the other Eurorun of Lopez behind him. That gap 8.7 seconds at the moment. So Sutil a bit all out on his own at the moment, comfortable in 5th position. Lopez in 6th, ahead of Max Chilton, under pressure now from Helio Castro-Neves, half a second between those two. Will Stevens is in 9th, and Lundgaard up into 10th place, having a strong run so far. We ride now on board with Alexander Rossi behind Sergio Sette Camara. The American, who is a race winner this season, will want to get past his Brazilian rival as soon as possible. Rossi hoping to get himself up into the points at the moment. The speed of the LaRousse is clearly there from the job that Max Chilton is doing at the moment on debut. Rossi not quite extracting that same speed out of the LaRousse just yet in this race. Yuri Vips goes on for another lap, not yet coming into the pits. We still haven't seen what fuel load he is on, but he seems very comfortable at the moment, Tom, just happy in the rhythm that he's in. And Helio Castro-Neves down the inside there of the LaRousse of Max Chilton. He goes straight through into 7th place. Another overtake there for the Brazilian driver. 2 race wins to his name this season, having a fantastic season and having a fantastic drive here today. Lopez up next up the road, 1 second between himself and the Eurorun. Right, we ride on board with Alex Lynn and HRT, second place at the moment, 10.7 seconds between those two. Antonio Fuoco just over 2 seconds behind Alex Lynn at the moment, not making any headway into the advantage that HRT has. And Yuri Vips going off for yet another lap here, so I'm starting to wonder whether this could maybe be a one-stopper for Vips, or he's just running a bit of a longer first stint while going on to 2-stop strategy. Still not yet seen what fuel load he is on, but Vips 10.7 seconds in the lead at the moment in this race. Driving absolutely beautifully is the Estonian. And Alex Lynn, what is the gap going to be between himself and Vips? He goes up another 2 tenths on that last lap. So Alex Lynn falling away from the back of Yuri Vips. There is Antonio Fuoco in 3rd place, ahead of Marcus Winkelhock in 4th, Adrian Sutil 5th, then Lopez, Castro-Neves, Chilton, Stevens and Lundgaard in the top 10 at the moment. But it's quite a close battle at the moment. For those final points paying positions, we have about 8 seconds between Lopez and Brendan Hartley down in P14 at the moment. Jerome D'Ambrosio 15th at the moment in the Andrea Moda, not challenging the points paying positions at any time soon. The difference between Lundgaard and Scott Speed in 10th and 11th, 1 second between those two. Sergio Sette Camara in 12th, head of Rossi, and Hartley right behind Alexander Rossi at the moment, 2 tenths of a second, as you can see on the graphic there, for 13th and 14th, and maybe an overtake incoming soon between those two. And 11 seconds now the gap at the front. Vips absolutely flying so far in this race and pulling away from Alex Lynn. Lynn has no answer for the speed of the Estonian at the moment, doing a fantastic job in the lead of this race. Fuoco there in 3rd, in contention for this championship. He'll want to move as far towards the front as he can at the moment. Constable in 3rd is Sutil, getting it all wrong there into chicane. Oh, that was a very crucial moment there for the HRT. That could easily have ended in tears, and that could have been very detrimental to his championship challenge. But however, our points leader is able to pick it all up and continues in 5th position. Tom, that could have been disaster for the German.
It most certainly could have been, and sorry for the disconnection there. There is actually a storm going on in my area in the UK, so hence why there was a slight disconnection. But with Sutil, he outraised himself into that downhill left-hander there. As Lopez is about to lose the position to Castro-Neves now, continuing his great charge.
Castroneves, absolutely on form at the moment. He is flying through the field, started 25th in this race, and is now up into 6th. He hasn't even gone for his first pit stop yet, and he's driving absolutely beautifully. And he was held up in qualifying, which is why he put in such a low lap time, not able to get in a full power lap for the Brazilian, and he was so frustrated after qualifying finished, thinking his race was already over, but it's not over until the checkered flag falls. Castroneves up into 6th place and driving fantastically so far.
It's been brilliant so far as Vips comes into the pits for his first stop at the end of lap 17.
So there is our answer regarding Juri Vips' pit strategy. He comes into the pits at the end of lap 17. He is on a 2-stop strategy, it seems, and Alex Lynn and Antonio Fuoco both carry on into the lead. So are they on 1-stop strategies possibly? Look at Juri Vips in the pits. He's put on 20 laps of fuel, so he will indeed take his second pit stop in this race. And where is he going to filter out into the traffic? This might be close with Castroneves. No, it's not actually. He's out well in front of Castroneves, so some nice clear air there for the Estonian driver. He's even ahead of Adrian Suttel at the moment. That was a great pit stop there from the live team, and we will wait for the graphics to update to see exactly how far he is behind our current race leader, Alex Lynn. It's 3.1 between Lynn and Fuoco at the moment, and where is Vips going to be? It says 4.7 at the moment, it's now 9.8, so 10 seconds between Vips and the race lead. And Vips having a fantastic race at the moment, and a great pit stop from live team. Oh, Scott Speed is off! Scott Speed into the barrier, across the grass, and some damage there. Now, was that a mechanical issue before he went off there? Scott Speed becoming a cropper in this race. It looked like he was already pulling into retirement, Tom, before pulling off and hitting the barrier.
Yeah, he had a puncture, I think, Topher, before he went off, because you could see the front right lifted off the ground, so I would imagine that'll be a puncture for Scott Speed. So he becomes the 4th retirement of this race, and working out Vips' window, I think you need either 20 or 21 seconds for a pit stop, which is one of the lowest on the calendar. So this is actually a good opportunity for Vips to make the 2-stop work here.
It absolutely is. It's around about 20 seconds for a pit stop here. Vips using every amount of horsepower within that life to get as much of an advantage as he can. And after his first pit stop, into a lovely batch of clear air. He's 6.6 seconds behind Fuoco and 4.8 ahead of Adrian Suttel. So Vips in a very good position at the moment. There is your new race leader, Alex Lynn, a race winner earlier this season in Magny-Cours, running a net second at the moment. He's yet to come into the pits. Lap 19 now, and himself and Fuoco still not yet to come through the pit lane. So are they on 1-stoppers, Tom? I think they would account for some of the pace advantage that Vips has had so far in this race.
Yeah, I say if Lynn and Fuoco were to pit now, they would both get out in front of Castroneves, which would be crucial.
And there is Vips, your current race leader, auditioning for a seat in Season 3. Andrew Sampson, the team principal of the live team, electing to put him into the seat in favour of Marino Sato. A controversial decision, because Marino Sato is a championship contender, can still mathematically take the championship, but Andrew Sampson, it seems, wanting to focus on the Constructors' Championship, as Alex Lynn going a little bit wide into the pits there, but he gets it collected up and is now in for his pit stop. Now hopefully we will stay on board with the HRT here so we can see what fuel load he's going on to, and it's 18 laps we just caught a glimpse of there before Fuoco came in for his. He's also putting on 18 laps of fuel, so these two also on 2-stop strategies here. So to me it seems, Tom, that pace advantage from Vips wasn't because of the strategy. That was genuine.
Yeah, that was a very genuine pace from Vips, it has to be said. And I was just going to say as well, whilst he was on a few laps before, the Lundgaard's out. This is a really terrible day for the Coloni team.
That is an absolute shame for Gemma Dixon and the Coloni team. It's the second retirement for the team in this race. Christian Lundgaard's engine blowing. We had the earlier problem with Alan McNish, his gearbox packed up. Christian Lundgaard's now out of the race, and our 5th retirement today in Buenos Aires. That is a shame for the Coloni team. And I think it's fair to say now, Tom, Season 3 cannot come soon enough for these guys.
Yeah, and it's just being compounded with problems after problems after problems, and it's just getting worse for them at the moment. There's Adrian Suttel, who's yet to pit. He's in 2nd place right now, with a clear track ahead of him. He is behind Juri Vips, who's already pitted, so I don't think Suttel's thinking about winning this race unless there is problems involving Vips. But this is very good for his championship.
Well, with Will Power already out of this race, Adrian Sutil will be absolutely loving this. He knows he can get a good points advantage over his championship rival here as he pulls into the pits on what looks to be a two-stop strategy for the German. So Vips will reassume the lead of the race. Alex Lynn will go back through in second, and Froiko into third, trying to work out whereabouts Sutil will come back out onto the track. Maybe around about Winkelhock-Stevens sort of area, maybe just behind Stevens, but with a fresh tyre advantage, he should be able to make more progress through the field, and we're waiting for him to come out of the pit lane now. He is behind Stevens on track. Where is he going to be in relation to Rossi and Hartley? He has come out of pits now, and I believe around about where Rossi is. You can see them jostling for position there on the graphic for 9th and 10th, and it looks like Sutil has indeed lost out to Alexander Rossi there for P9, but with fresh tyres shouldn't be a problem, Tom.
No, well, you say it shouldn't be a problem. When Vips was on his fresher tyres to Lynn and Froiko, he wasn't really going that quick. In comparison to them, it was pretty much the same gap, like all the way through, before Froiko and Lynn came into the pits. So I think Sutil, in a way, is going to have his work cut out trying to get past Rossi on a track where overtaking is not that easy.
Maybe the track giving a little bit more time to get the tyres up to temperature. A lot of different variables here in the Grand Prix World Series. Don't forget you can get in touch via the YouTube live chat and let us know what your thoughts are over this race. Motorsport Mike, also known as Michael Gillespie, the team principal of the Midland Racing outfits who race in the League 1 category of the Grand Prix World Series, pointing out that a driver to look out for next season could potentially be Théo Pourchaire. Now Tom, we do have eligibility rules for the Grand Prix World Series. Drivers have to, at the minimum, have done an official test within Formula 1. And this week, Théo Pourchaire will be testing for the Alfa Romeo team in the Pirelli tyre test. That counts as an official test, so once that has happened, Tom, Pourchaire is up for grabs.
He'll most certainly be up for grabs at the age of 17 as well. Can you believe that? Or 18 even. He's either 17 or 18.
I believe he is still 17, actually, thinking about it. I don't think he's quite turned 18 just yet. But while in the real-life world of Formula 1, they do have a minimum age of 18 to race there. In the Grand Prix World Series, it does not matter. If you are eligible, you are eligible. And Théo Pourchaire, I know is definitely on the radar of at least one team within the Grand Prix World Series. Could he potentially find himself on the grids going into Season 3? A lot to look out for as we talk about driver market there, as Jerome D'Ambrosio down the inside there of the Fonmetal of Esteban Gutierrez. Now, Tom, let's have a quick chat about Gutierrez, because he was brought into the field with the Fonmetal team by Ewan Gale as a replacement for Giorgio Pantano, expecting to do a much better job within that team in what's been a little bit of a dog of a car, I will be completely honest, but not really doing that much better than Mazzacani, it must be said.
Well, in this race, he's not doing that much better than Mazzacani, but he's had a fairly good races where I think he's been sort of thereabouts. I mean, last time out in Brno, Gutierrez was, I'm just trying to see where he actually finished. He finished 14th. So, to be fair, he finished ahead of a few guys which you wouldn't have thought he would have finished ahead of him. So Gutierrez is not doing a bad job in the Fonmetal team, despite the fact that he's in a really dogged car, as you've already mentioned.
I think Ewan Gale is now focusing a lot more on Season 3 and what he can do with the team there, as Jose Maria Lopez concedes 5th position to Marcus Winkelhock. Now, is that a move that the team needs, Tom? Because Winkelhock not in contention for the title, whereas Jose Maria Lopez is. So does that beg the question, are Eurobrun maybe also prioritising the Constructors' battle here?
Well, I was just thinking, Winkelhock's already pitted, hasn't he? And I'm not sure Lopez has either, so Winkelhock, it must be on a different strategy to Lopez, hence why Lopez has allowed him to go through at a corner we wouldn't have thought he would have been able to complete the overtake on. So just looking at Rossi, who's fending off Sutil behind, this is really, really bad news for Sutil's pace, because he made that lock-up the lap before, and now he's struggling to get past the Roos car.
Yuri Vips here, coming up to some back markers, 14.3 seconds in the lead. The Estonian so comfortable out in front at the moment. We don't really want to say too much, because we know, Tom, the commentator's curse is very prevalent within the Grand Prix World Series. We've seen it more often than not, that as soon as we start talking up a driver, something will befall his chances and they will pull off to the side of the track with some sort of mechanical issue. But I think it does have to be said, Tom, Vips putting in a fine performance here today.
Yeah. So Vips is only 2/10 faster than Lynn on the last lap. But this is nothing you can buy. So Suttel goes past Rossi. That's crucial for Suttel there. He's got past the LaRousse. But going back to what I was saying about Vips, his pace on the second stint so far, not as quick as what he had set at the beginning.
So Adrian Suttel up there into P9, past Alexander Rossi. And Adrian Suttel putting in a good performance here, and it's a performance that he needs to put in. Because Will Power, his main championship rival, is out of this race. And Adrian Suttel will know that, and he will be doing everything he can to get as much of an advantage as possible. It is entirely possible that Adrian Suttel can win the title today. The gap between them going into this race was 4 points between Adrian Suttel and Will Power. Adrian Suttel, with 9th place at the moment, will score 2 points, and I'll give him a 6-point advantage. But if Suttel can get himself in a position where he can win this race, that might end up giving him the title, and he'll want to do everything he can to ensure that he puts himself in the best position to win the championship in Laguna Seca if he cannot do it today. But Adrian Suttel, a good overtake there to get past Alexander Rossi, a crucial overtake from him as well, as he now chases down Will Stevens for P8. We'll keep an eye on how he progresses through the course of this race. We're now on lap 25 out of 54. Yuri Vips, 14.6 advantage over Alex Lynn in second. Antonio Fuoco making it a double life podium as it stands at the moment. Helio Castroneves, 4th at the moment from 25th on the grid. Castroneves driving so well here today, as is Marcus Fingerhock and Jose Maria Lopez, a double points finish as it stands for the Eurorun team at the moment. Max Chilton doing a fine job on debut in P7 ahead of his countryman Will Stevens in 8th. Adrian Suttel closing down on Will Stevens now, 3.4 seconds, the gap between himself and his modern arrival, and Alexander Rossi currently picking up the final points playing position in P10.
So as it stands with Castroneves in 4th place, I think Leighton House would win the League 2 title, even with Life and HRT scoring good points at the moment. Well, I say that, I think I don't think they would actually, because with Life in 1st and 3rd, that would still keep the championship mathematically possibly alive, and with going into the last race of the season, so at least there's still something to be battling for in League 2 going into the last round. And I'm just thinking that Castroneves, by the time he comes into the pits, is going to be behind Brendan Hartley, isn't he? He should get out in front of Jake Dennis. But he's going to leave himself with a lot to do.
I think the only driver who can win the championship today is Adrian Suttel. Currently not in a position to do so is the German. He needs to win this race to be able to stand a chance of taking that championship. With Will Power out of this race, not happening at the moment. Adrian Suttel there in 9th position, on course for 2 points. That would extend his gap to 6 points over the Australian. The Yuri Vips doing really well here to take 25 points. Actually, it'd be 26, wouldn't it? Because he's got the points for pole position at the moment, and as it stands, he does have the point for fastest lap, but of course that can change as we get further into the race. Alex Lynn in second, it'll be good, some good points there for the HRT team, and Antonio Fuoco making it a great day at the moment for the Life team as they want to secure promotion into League 3, but we are only just at the halfway mark of this race, Tom. There is so much that can still happen today.
Very much so, as Alex Lynn trying to come on over the line, complete another lap. We're now on lap 27, we're at half race distance, and as it stands, the title would not be decided in the Drivers' Championship in League 2, and I think with Lopez currently in 6th place, he would still be in the running. So you can see Jack Aiken making a move on the front Mittal. He's not going to make it through there, is he? No, didn't think so. As Max Chilton pits for his only stop.
So Max Chilton on a one-stop strategy here today. Will that bring him some points on debut? Trying to look where he's going to filter back out. He's now out of the top 10. And is he going to come out in front or behind Jake Dennis in the Andrea Moda? He will be behind Jake Dennis. Actually driving a fine race at the moment is Jake Dennis. He's been a little bit under the radar. We haven't seen anything of him so far this race. He started in P15, his best qualifying of the season so far in that car, and is now running in P11. A good job so far for the British Formula E driver, and not doing quite as good a job as this guy here. Yuri Vips, 15.1 seconds in the lead, and if he keeps going at this rate, Tom, he will be an entire pit stop ahead of Alex Lynn.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's going to be on course Although, to be honest, Lynn and Froko are doing 2 stops as well, so it wouldn't really matter to Phipps at the moment. And Max Chilton did get out in front of Sergei Sorokin crucially as well, so he's got some clear track ahead of him, of which he can actually use to his advantage and complete the undercut on a few drivers during this round of pit stops. As you can see, such a he's managed to keep it going there. He's right behind Sam Bird in 14th position, who we've not spoken much about in this race.
Well, Sergio Sette Camera having a very leery moment there coming out of the Ascari corner. Thought he might end up losing it for a moment there, but doing very well to hold on to the car and keep 15th position at the moment. As Alexander Rossi into the pits for his one and only stop. So both of the LaRousse cars going onto a one-stop strategy here today. They are on course for points at the moment, but they still have a long way to go. And will tyre life play a part later on in this race? Chilton will move up into P11 as a result. Where is Rossi going to come out as Sorokin? Also into the pits as well. It looks like Rossi is behind Sergio Sette Camera, so he will have some overtaking to do to get himself back into points. Here is Max Chilton. I think it must be said, Tom, a fantastic job so far. Brought in place of Callum Milot, who's he's suffered a little bit of a poor run of form recently, Tom. And Will Knight, he took that decision to try out Max Chilton in his place. Surely this is giving him some headaches. Oh wait, let's talk about this first. Suttle is off. Adrian Suttle, his car is on fire. And we were talking about him earlier, Tom, how this race could be crucial for the championship with Will Power out of the race. Well, Adrian Suttle's now out of the race, and this championship is being blown wide open.
It most certainly has. So the top 2 in the championship out of the race, and this is a good opportunity now for Helio Castroneves and Jose Maria Lopez to close in on them. Marcus
Finkelhock, they're in P5. This could end up being a good day for the Eurogrund team as well as far as the team standings are concerned. And it always kicks off, doesn't it, Tom? We had Will Power, our second place in the championship, spin himself out of contention under pressure from Alex Lynn, and now we've had the engine blow up on the HRT of our championship leader, Adrian Suttle. And what can we say about that, Tom? It is blowing this title race wide open.
Very much so, and if Froko was to finish on the podium as well, given where he is, he's got a fair chance at it. So I think Andrew Sutton will be rethinking on his feet going into the last round of the season if Froko does end up scoring big here.
We are going to try and get you some updated point standings as it happens when that comes through. But Adrian Suttle now not going to score any points at all in this race. Yuri Vips there putting a lap on Sergei Sorokin in the Force India. And this is absolutely fantastic as far as the championship is concerned. Not because we want anything to befall the fate of Chris Cavaney and John Monroe with their respective Leighton House and HRT teams. It's because it keeps it close going into the season finale at Laguna Seca, which will be next week. And this is absolutely incredible. We're getting some updated points through now, Tom. So Antonio Fuoco, at the moment, on course for 3rd place. He will get 15 points. I'll bring him up to 121 points. 14 off of Adrian Suttle. Helio Castroneves in 4th. He'll score 12 points and he will be on 127. And Lopez has just come into the pits. We're running in P6. That would be 8 points, which puts him on 126. So less than 10 points covering the top 4 in the championship if it were to finish that way. We do still have quite a lot of laps left to go here in Buenos Aires. Lopez out in P7, only losing 1 position through that pit stop phase and on course to score another haul of points here today. Lopez, probably the most consistent point scorer so far this season, yet to win a race, but a lot of podiums, a lot of points finishes has kept the Argentine in contention for his championship, now racing at his home event. What can Lopez do on home ground here today? There is Gaston Mazzucani losing a lap there on life crown. Sorry, Tom, you about to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say Lopez has got a lot of free track ahead of him now that he can use, so he needs to use that to his advantage when the 2 stoppers come in again for their last stops. And Gaston Mazzucani, another one of the home heroes here in Argentina, having another race to forget really so far for him. As Castroneves pits for the only time in this race, he should come out behind Will Stevens.
Now Castroneves, his fine first stint comes to an end as he comes into the pits to get on some fresh rubber, get a top up of fuel, and Will Stevens into the pits as well. So it looks like Castroneves will hold on to 5th place at the moment. He's lost out on 4th to Marcus Finkelhock at the moment, but there is a very clear pace advantage within that Leighton House. And how will that transpire in the second half of this race? We are on lap 31 out of 54 here. You are looking at Antonio Fuoco in third place, currently on course for a double podium for the Life Team Vips. You are looking at now in the lead on debut, driving a fantastic race, separated by Alex Lynn at the moment in P2, the meat in a life sandwich. Marcus Winkelhock in fourth, ahead of Helio Paschanevis in fifth. Lopez, the second Eurobun, in sixth, having now come into the pits for the final time. Max Chilton on his one-stop strategy, now up in third place. And I thought there might have been Lynn going for an overtake there, but he is just putting a lap on what I think might have been a Modena, unless I'm very much mistaken. Only caught a glimpse of that car there. Alex Lynn running very well in P2 at the moment, 15 seconds off the lead of Yuri Vips. And as it stands, both of the Pacifics now into points as well. Sergio Sette Cameron P9 and Hartley in P10 as well. Alexander Rossi having come in for his one stop. He's up into 11th at the moment and is less than a second behind Brendan Hartley for the final points pen position. Yuri Vips there putting a lap on Jack Aiken. He's lapped everyone up to 13th place so far. Jake Dennis the next up the road for the Estonian. And I don't think Jake Dennis will be putting up too much of a challenge there. That Andrea Moda is seriously underpowered in comparison to the life car. A lot of different upgrade strategies coming through this season, Tom. Some of the team principals electing to go more for power at the expense of reliability. Some other team principals going the other way, preferring to make their cars get to the end of races. But if you do that, you don't necessarily have the speed to get the results.
No, definitely not. I'm just looking at as it stands with Lynn in second and the Eurobronze in fourth and sixth. Don't think HRT would get promoted. I don't actually think they would.
So at the end of this race, there's 27 points plus second place, so that's 45 points maximum that a team can score in any one race weekend. As it stands at the moment, HRT, I believe, would drop out of contention for the title, but still be able to get promoted. I think this would leave them still in third place overall in the championship. Just trying to make my maths work here. At 45 points. I think a lot of this will depend on what Eurobrun does today, because it looks like the Life team is going to get promoted into League 1 at the end of this race. HRT, if they can get some results going their way with Eurobrun, then they will as well. But with Adrian Suttle out of the race and both Eurobruns still in this race and still in the points, it's all up for grabs at the moment. There's no definitive answer that we can give at this stage in the race. We still have a lot of laps left to come, but as it stands at the moment, the Life team will secure promotion into League 1. They still have to get to the end of the race though, Tom.
They do. There's still some way to go. Yeah, 22 laps remaining. Vips' lead is just under 15 seconds. And just look and see what Froco's doing at the moment. You can see there in third place. He's not really chopping Lynn at the moment. I think he's caring more about just getting to the end of this one. As Gutierrez runs wide, locks up into the right-hander there. That's the hairpin after the Ascari curve. But it's, you know, it's getting intense out now, isn't it? With points on offer and promotion still on the line, and so is the Drivers' Championship.
So, just looking at the point standings here, if it was to finish like this, the only two teams that can still win the championship in League 2 are Leighton House and Life. With 45 points left up for grabs, it is a difference of 35 points should it finish like this. That means that Leighton House would have to outscore, and all those D'Ambrosio in trouble. Marcus Finkelhock is off. Marcus Finkelhock going for a trip across the grass there. Has he kept it going? Yes, he has. And has he got any damage there? Oh, a bit of contact there. And he has been hit by, I think that's Esteban Gutierrez there. So what's happened to Winkelhock? It looks like he might have just dropped it all on his own, and he has. Does a fine job to keep it out of the barrier there, doing some rallycross to keep his car going. Back on track into the path of Gutierrez. And very nearly having a Maldonado moment there at Bahrain 2014. And Gutierrez very nearly getting flipped over in that, but it looks like they've both got away with that somehow. Very close to rolling over there was Gutierrez. I'm not sure if they have any damage there. They're both continuing on track.
Yeah, and I was just going to say D'Ambrosio was out of the race. He was trolling around with a mechanical issue. There he is, look.
So Jerome D'Ambrosio, he parks up next to the stricken HRT, making a little bit of a car park down there as Marcus Finkelhock gets back past Gutierrez no love lost between those two. And I'm amazed, Tom. We've seen how fragile these cars can be, sometimes getting damaged just running over the gravel traps. How did neither of those cars come out of that with damage?
I don't know. I think Fingerhawk will be having the book thrown in by the stewards. He did rejoin rather dangerously, didn't he?
I think that's something that David Junt might need to argue with the stewards, the team principal of the Eurobron team. Although I think he might also be breathing a sigh of relief that his German driver is still in this race, running as highly as he is in P12 at the moment. With him in P4 and Lopez in P6, that's a haul of 20 points at the moment for Eurobron. That could be crucial for the championship.
So Lynn in second place, getting held up now by the sack speed of Sam Bird. I wonder if Sam Bird will give his former Formula E teammates at DS Virgin Racing any favours. He does let him go through there, look. So Lynn can now continue his charge after Vitz, although it is very unlikely that he'll be troubling him between now and the checker flag. He just needs to sort of continue bagging the points that he has been scoring this season. And Topher with Lynn, I'm just looking at his points total this season. Alex Lynn, he would get 64 points by the end of this race should he finish second, but he didn't finish in the last two prior to this.
Alex Lynn has had a really strong season since he came into the HRT team in place of Dario Franchitti. We called it a controversial move at the time, but Alex Lynn proving why he belongs in the Grand Prix World Series, and John Monroe an inspired choice there to bring him into the team. As Yuri Vips into the pits for his second stop now, he should lose out on the lead to Alex Lynn, but with Lynn still to come into the pits himself, I don't think Vips will be worrying too much at this stage. And there we go, 21 laps of fuel, he's going to the end, and Alex Lynn also into the pits as well, so Vips will hold on to the lead of this race. And what a performance here from Yuri Vips, a debutant here today, and it looks like life is actually double stacked. Oh, how close is that between Yuri Vips and Oliver Turvey in a Real, I believe that was. Very nearly coming to grief as he came out from his second and final pit stop. That could have ended in tears for Andrew Sampson and the team.
Yeah, and you can see Alex Lynn just really running more safely in front of the von Mattel, but yeah, that was rather close between Vips and the Real. And, you know, Froco also came into the pit, so both live cars pitting on that same lap there, but thankfully both of them were far enough apart for them to be surfaced on that same lap. Froco rejoins just behind Marcus Finkelhock in fourth place, but he'll be on much fresher tyres.
Finkelhock on the one-stop strategy here today, and Fuoco, as Tom points out, on fresher tyres, so I don't think it will take the Italian too long to get up to the back of the Eurobron and make their move back into a podium position. The Yuri Vips 15.7 in the lead still. We are less than 20 laps away from the end of the League 2 Buenos Aires Grand Prix, and what a performance it's been from Yuri Vips so far. Alex Lynn, a good job from him in P2 as well, a race winner this season and only his third outing in the Grand Prix World Series. And we were just talking about it, Tom. It was a little bit of a controversial decision for John Monroe to replace Dario Franchitti with Alex Lynn, but then Lynn, in only his third outing, he went and did what Dario Franchitti could not do, and he went and won a Grand Prix.
It was really incredible, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, Dario Franchitti, I'd love to see him back for League 3, whether it's not the League 3, Season 3, I should say. You know, there could be someone out there wanting his services, because he did produce some brilliant performances. Winkelhock's in.
So we thought that Winkelhock was on a one-stop strategy. Maybe not then. Maybe he is on a two-stop strategy as he comes into the pits, and he will drop out to P3 now, and behind Helio Castroneves as well. So where is he going to be in relation to his teammate, Jose Maria Lopez? And it looks like Winkelhock is out ahead of his teammate. Now the smart money, Tom, would suggest that Winkelhock should let Lopez through, given that Lopez is the one of those two drivers who is in contention for this championship. But is Eurobron maybe prioritising that charge towards the constructors and towards promotion, maybe just ensuring that both their drivers get to the end?
Not 100% sure. It's a difficult one to make, really, but the only problem is Winkelhock is so far in front of Lopez. They're just going through sector 1 now, and I think Lopez is over 5 seconds behind Winkelhock, so depends on the pace of which Lopez puts in, but Lopez is under pressure from the likes of Chilton, Stevens and Hartley and co.
There's your list of retirements. Degrassi the first out of this race, followed by Alan McNish. Will Power spinning out of contention from second place earlier on. Scott Speed, Christian Lundgaard Adrian Sutil, our championship leader, also out of this race. And finally, Jerome D'Ambrosio with a puncture, we believe it was. That's what we've heard from the Andrea Moda team. A puncture was the reason that the Belgian fell out of this race, and there'll be no points for him. So your top 10 at the moment, as we are on lap 38 out of 54. There is your race leader, Yuri Vips, putting a lap there on Sam Burton in 14th place. Alex Lynn still in second ahead of Antonio Fuoco, 2 cars on the podium positions for the Life team. Helio Castroneves in 4th ahead of Marcus Finkelhoff and Jose Maria Lopez, double points at the moment for the Eurorun team. Max Chilton still running well within the points on debut, a fantastic drive from the Englishman driving for the LaRousse team. Will Stevenson 8th ahead of Brendan Hartley, and Alexander Rossi making it both the LaRousses in the top 10 and on course for some points. And Yuri Vips here struggling a little bit to get past Sergei Sorokin here. He should do it at the next corner with the Russian getting out of the way, and I think he does indeed do it now. Yes, he does. There goes Yuri Vips through past the Russian Force India driver Sorokin down in P13. At the moment are not on course to score any points here today. But everyone up into 12th place, lapped so far by our debutant Yuri Vips today. And Tom, it's been an absolutely fantastic race so far. We've seen what the potential is from some of our newer drivers, Yuri Vips and Max Chilton making their debuts today, but we do still have a long way to go, and as we've seen so many times within the Grand Prix World Series, Tom, anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and Yuri Vips on course to become the 18th different driver to win a race this season from 33 races, not 33 races, from 29 races so far this season in the Grand Prix World Series. And you can see right on board of him now, he's just been ever so dominant. Can you imagine if he was in the car all the way through the campaign? We've been saying that a lot this season with a few drivers, haven't we?
We have indeed. I wonder what Andrew Sampson is thinking right now, seeing his new driver in the lead of this race. Not just leading, but by a very comfortable margin is Yuri Vips. The gap now up to 16.1 seconds. There's his teammate Antonio Fuoco, the experienced hand within the Life team, a race winner this season. He's picked up 1 race victory at Fuji, and on top of that another 5 podiums. And he's been completely outclassed here today, Tom. Half a minute off of his teammate, and we're not even at the end of the race yet.
No, and just looking at the number of cars that have been lapped already, I mean, there's 19 runners still, 7 drivers have been lapped. And yeah, Yuri Vips is about to come up towards Sergio Sette Camera now as well. And it won't be too long before he gets onto the gearbox of the Pacific. And Jake Dennis, 11th position in the Andrea Moda. I mean, where has that come from?
Jake Dennis doing a fine performance in that Andrea Moda as it stands at the moment. Brought into that team in place of Valentino Rossi, the MotoGP legend. And Alex Lynn very nearly getting right into the back there of Sergei Sorokin. A little bit of a miscommunication between those two. That so nearly could have been an absolute disaster for the HRT team for a moment there, Tom. I thought Lynn was about to smash into the back of that Force India.
I think it was Jack Aiken who was getting through, because Sorokin's a bit further up the road from Aiken. But yeah, that was very close to being a collision there, and almost one in tears. Now Jack Aiken has already been in trouble with the stewards this year with his misdemeanors in Magny Car that got him a 1 race ban. The last thing he's wanted is being out for the final race at Laguna Seca.
And Jack Aiken, he is fighting for his seat into Season 3. He was a bit of a revelation when he was signed up to the Force India team, actually. He took a 4th place on debut in Chennai when he replaced Alex Zanardi at their Force India team, and then followed that up with a 5th place finish at the following round in Kyalami. But unfortunately, since then, 0 points for the Anglo-Korean, and as you say, Tom, a race ban for the Hockenheim Grand Prix following his absolute taking out of Valentino Rossi during the Magny Car Grand Prix. I mean, it was a slam dunk race ban. No one had any arguments against that.
No, it was pretty much the most blatant manoeuvre there that got in that race ban, and deservedly so. He just doesn't want to be getting another one before the last race. As you can see, Vips there closing up behind Sergio Sette Camera as Turvey's been lapped by the Leighton House of Castroneves as Castroneves goes through into turn 1 ahead. In fact, Castroneves 2.5 seconds behind Fuoco now.
Could Helio Castroneves get a podium out of this race, having started P25? What a performance it's been from the Brazilian driver. I think, Tom, even if he doesn't get on a podium, I think there might be well, maybe Vips, but I think Castroneves might be the most obvious choice for driver of the day.
Yeah, well, Fingerhawk has done well over there. We had that off, didn't he? But he's done a really good race as well. In fact, Max Chilton has as well on debut. So a lot of drivers have done very well in terms of getting themselves up to where they are. And Jay Dennis.
A lot of very good performances today in Buenos Aires. We just saw there a little bit of a moment from Max Chilton as he got it all wrong into turn 2, under pressure from Will Stevens. Now, we saw earlier on that Will Power was pressured into a mistake by a chasing Alex Lynn. Could Chilton maybe get pressured into a mistake by Will Stevens? Yuri Vips there putting a lap on Sergio Sette Camara there. The Brazilian going 1 lap down on the live team. And the Pacific team, they were one of the pre-season favourites going into this championship. Or a little bit of a moment there for Castroneves. But the Pacific team, they started off the season with Timo Glock and Daniel Kvyat, and they had something of a rotating door of drivers also involving Roman Grosjean, and we were thinking maybe they could be the ones to watch going into the season. But Tom, I think it's fair to say a very disappointing season for Carter McCollum and the team.
It has been, they've been one of the most disappointing outfits. I think Zap Speed have been as well, with the driver lineups that they've been using. And I think Force India have had a season to forget as well, because I thought Force India would have been right in there. You not think?
Well, Force India, they started off the season with, let's say, older drivers, to be fair, who do have all of the experience, but there comes a point where age does start to get a little bit the better of you, and with Alex Nali and Al Unser Jr. in the car start of the season, both very accomplished drivers, both very respected drivers, but I feel as though maybe just a little bit too much on the age side, and Ed Spencer recognising that and now going for a younger driver lineup of Sergei Sorokin and Jack Aiken, but with the damage done of a poor first half of the season, not able to get the prize money in to be able to upgrade that Force India as much as the other teams around them. I think that might send out a message to Ed Spencer and the rest of the team principals next season, Tom. If you want to be successful within the Grand Prix World Series, you kind of need to hit the ground running from the beginning.
Yeah, you do. And just looking at the fundamentals, almost getting in the way there of Will Stevens and Brendan Hartley. Brendan Hartley's another one who could be potentially driver of the day, do you not think?
I haven't actually seen too much of Brendan Hartley so far in this race. He has been doing a stellar performance in that Pacific, running P9 at the moment. But in my mind regarding driver of the day, my two candidates are Yuri Vips and Helio Castroneves, both for very different reasons. Vips leading from the front on debut, withstanding pressure from Will Power at the start of this race, and then driving off into distance. And Helio Castroneves 25th to 4th at the moment. And two very strong drives for two very different reasons, and in my opinion, Tom, those are the two drivers I'm looking at for driver of the day.
That's fair enough. As Fingerhawk comes up towards a couple of back marks now, there was a Real and a Funmetal. I think that was Gutierrez and Oliver Turvey, as Alexson was shown in second place there. Mike Conway, as it is, in fact, trying to get through on Gutierrez. Oh, that was close there as he tried to get through at the Ascari curve, but to no avail. And Fingerhawk will be crawling all over the back of him, so Conway will just need to watch his mirrors as he goes past. Here is Froco in third place. He's quite a way ahead of Castroneves, so well, I say quite a way, he's only a few seconds ahead of him, isn't he? So he just needs to watch his mirrors for Castroneves behind. But Froco looks comfortable enough in third place for a double podium here for the live team, and this is crucial for the team's championship as well.
Now, speaking of Antonio Fuoco, Tom, this could be his last outing in the Grand Prix World Series for this season at least, because our understanding is from the live team that Yuri Vips is replacing Marino Sato for this race, but will replace Antonio Fuoco for the next race, effectively evaluating all options for Season 3 is Andrew Sampson and Fuoco with a point to prove going into this race, but 33.9 seconds off the lead of Yuri Vips at the moment, Tom. This is, I mean, he's running third at the moment, so it's still going to be a good haul of points. But your first measure of success within motor racing, Tom, is your teammate. So, Fuoco, this is possibly his last chance to prove his worth to Andrew Sampson going into next season.
Possibly, but he's definitely got the pace to do it, and if Andrew Sampson doesn't choose him for next year, I think someone else will do, because Froco's definitely got it within him.
I cannot agree with you more. Froco having a very strong season this year, a race winner as well. He's been something of a revelation. We didn't expect too much of him when he came in, but in only his second outing this season at the Fuji Grand Prix, went and took victory and also finished on the podium in Birmingham, Magny-Cours, Hockenheim, and at the last rounds in Brno. Now on course for another one here in Buenos Aires. Doing a fine job, it must be said. The life car has had a lot of power behind it, and Antonio Fuoco doing a great job to get the most out of it on his day. So definitely contender for that life car into Season 3. But what can Sato do when he potentially returns for the last round in Laguna Seca? A lot for Andrew Sampson to think about. Here is Alex Lynn coming up to some traffic here. That's Sergei Sorokin and Sam Bird fighting for position, but they will get out of the way eventually. We don't have any blue flag rules. They are not obliged to get out of the way. It's more down to a gentleman's agreement between the drivers. So Alex Lynn, he will want to dispatch those two back markers as soon as possible as he looks to keep hold of second place in this race. Brendan Hartley running there in P9, on course for a couple of points for himself and for the Pacific Grand Prix team. We are now less than 10 laps away from the end of the League 2 Buenos Aires E-Prix. Vips 18.3 seconds ahead of Alex Lynn. Antonio Fuoco in third, Helio Castroneves in fourth, Marcus Winkelhock and Jose Maria Lopez, both Euro runs within the top 6. Max Chilton on debut in 7th ahead of his countryman Will Stevens. That battle's raging on between those two. Brendan Hartley in 9th and Alexander Rossi in P10.
So this is looking very good for Yuri Vips for his maiden victory on debut as well. Remember, Castroneves won on debut and he's maiden 2 outings. Vips is about to join him on that illustrious list. Fuoco 35 seconds off the lead, but he's starting to pull out more of a margin now on Castroneves. So Fuoco's third place looks to be pretty much safe, if I'm honest with you, as Sergei Sorokin holds 13th position. Has just been marked there by Alex Lynn, so Lynn gets through without any issues. And yeah, he's pretty much settled now in terms of the pit stops and all the way to the checker flag in this, and you just can't complain about Vips, can you?
He has driven an absolutely fantastic race so far. One thing I've just noticed actually, Tom, Jake Dennis running a P11 at the moment, and now this hasn't been the most attritional race we've ever seen within the Grand Prix World Series. We currently still have 19 runners left in this race. If we have anyone drop out of the top 10 before the conclusion of the League 2 Grand Prix here, Jake Dennis is on course for his maiden points for Andrea Moda. What a performance it's been from the Englishman.
It has. I'm just trying to see where he actually started the race. He started in P15, so qualifying and race trim has been absolutely brilliant from Dennis. So this is very much by far the best race he's had in his career, although he came in last time out at Brno, didn't he? Mr. Dennis didn't. Just looking to see where he came and finished in 13th position in Brno, so he's about to go 2 positions better than last time. And he's probably going to go a lap down because the race leader's coming up behind him now, so he's going to have to hope that someone drops out before the last lap of the race.
Well, we are not that many laps away from the end of this Grand Prix. 19.8 seconds now the gap at the front. Lynn, as we can see there on the screen, still plugging away in 2nd place, and he's got a comfortable gap now to Antonio Fuoco behind him. It looks like we are settled in for a run to the end of this Grand Prix. Not really too many battles going on. The closest battle we have at the moment is between Max Chilton and Will Stevens. We're now riding aboard with the number 19 at Modena of Will Stevens, right behind Max Chilton here, and he's been behind for quite a few laps now. Chilton not giving way to his countryman and putting in a fine defensive drive at the moment. They're not too far off the back of Jose Maria Lopez, actually looking at the graphics, around about 3 seconds as it stands at the moment. Brendan Hartley also closing in on that battle. He's now 2 seconds behind Chilton and Stevens. So that could be a 3-way scrap for 7th place by the end of this race. And Chilton there closing the door on Will Stevens. What a performance this has been from Max Chilton as well. Doing such a superlative job on his debut for LaRousse. We weren't really sure whether it was the right choice for Will Knight to drop Callum Ilott into the reserve driver role for this race. But Max Chilton putting in a good audition for Season 3, and might that give Will Knight a little bit of a headache as he considers his options for next season.
We were saying about there weren't too many battles going on. I just saw Mike Conway pull off a move on Esteban Gutierrez for 17th position. So that's a good position gain nevertheless for the Real team. And so we just wait and see if there's any other battles going on with the Chilton-Stevens tussle. They are about to cross over the start-finish line, and 3/10 is the gap. So I wonder if Stevens will make a lunge on Chilton going into turn 1.
So let's have a quick look at what this is going to do with regards to the championship. We're getting down to the end of the race now. There will be no points for Adrian Suttle or Will Power, allowing their rivals to close in a few points and capitalise on those misdemeanours for the HRT and the Leighton House. So victory for Yuri Vips. He's not in contention for the championship anyway. Second place for Alex Lynn will bring his total up to 64 points. They'll put him within the top 10 in the championship. Not in contention for the title this season. And Tony Fuoco in third. That will put him on 121 points, 14 off the lead of Adrian Suttle at the moment. Still very much a contender in this championship. Helio Castroneves, fourth place, will put him 8 points off the lead, and Lopez, a sixth place finish, will put him 9 points off the lead of the championship. And I think there would only be the top 6 who would be mathematically able to take the championship. So there would be Suttle, Power, Castroneves, Lopez, Fuoco and Sato. And we've got Mazzucane off. So Mazzucane with a puncture there, and coming to an end is his home Grand Prix. So a puncture putting him off to the side of the road, and a little bit of damage to the car there as he rode over the rough stuff, and not on course for any points anyway here today. But that is another retirement from the Buenos Aires Grand Prix.
Yeah, he was down in last place anyway, so he wasn't going to get anything out of this. It was almost about to be lapped as well again by Vips, so it's been another one of those races for the home hero as Alex Lynn goes into, well, he's in second place, isn't that? He passed him on the road, but he's still in second place. He's Alex Lynn anyway, 20 seconds off the lead. So I'm just thinking, if Vips had a problem, he maybe have been able to get out in front of Lynn, but we are very close to the end of the race now.
So 18 runners left in the League 2 Buenos Aires Grand Prix. It has been one of the better races attritionally, it must be said, Tom. We have had our fair share of retirements, but not really as many as we have seen in some of the previous races within the Grand Prix World Series.
No, 18 runners to the end. We've just seen that Gutierrez has just been lapped actually by what looked like Jose Maria Lopez. So Lopez on course for a 6th place finish on home turf. His teammate 14 seconds in front of him. So I don't think Vinhal is going to let Lopez through, to be quite honest with you. He's too far in front. As Fuoco is in third, 16 seconds behind Lynn. He's very much pulling away from Castroneves, and riding on the ball with Sergei Sorokin in 13th position. Which is not too bad of a position really for Sorokin in a car that's been off the pace this year. I wonder what Force India will be thinking about for next season, and Ed Spencer.
So just thinking about Jose Maria Lopez here, he's yet to win a race this season, but going into the final round, should he take home that 6th place that he currently occupies, he will be 9 points off the championship lead with 1 round to go, and without a Grand Prix victory to his name. I mean, winning the championship without taking a race victory, Tom, it's possible.
It's very much possible, but you know, how fitting would it be for him to win his first race of the season in the last round, and that would see him win the championship? It would be quite fitting, wouldn't it? And we've just seen Alex Lynn riding on board again as he comes through. No problem for him there, it seems. So yeah, it's pretty much settled out between here and the checkered flag, with just a few laps remaining. And Rossi, I think, is the next driver to be lapped actually by the race leader. So Rossi, at least both LaRue's cars were on course to finish in the points there. It's quite some time since we've seen that happen for Will Knight's team. Just looking to see the last time both LaRue's finished in the points. That would be
I believe it was Istanbul, wasn't it?
It was Istanbul, yeah. 8th and 9th they got there, so that tells you everything about their season. I mean, they're going to be out of contention for promotion, but they want to be. Oh, Chilton's got a problem.
Oh, that is such a shame for Max Chilton. He was doing such a fine job here today, running in P7 on course for 6 points on his debut, and it has all come to naught for Max Chilton. Oh, Tom, you can't help but feel sorry for the guy.
Yeah, that's a real shame. He's done nothing wrong all race, but LaRue's loss is Andrea Moda's gain. Jake Dennis up into the points.
Wow, wouldn't have called that at the start of this race. Jake Dennis, we haven't seen anything of him in this race, but yet he's just quietly gone about his business and risen from P15 into P10 at the moment. But You can't help but feel sorry for Max Chilton. Even though he's not going to score any points this day, Will Knight surely will be taking note of that and thinking maybe Chilton would be a good punt for a Season 3 seat. But if he doesn't go for him, Tom, surely Chilton has just put himself into the driving market.
For sure, and that's a really good effort from Chilton, and he's probably going to get another chance at Lagoon Saker as well. So that's been a sterling drive from Chilton. You know, that's pretty much like I wouldn't say a George Russell Mercedes type performance, but in terms of effort, that's definitely a good showing from him. He should be proud of himself.
Absolutely, I could not agree with you more. Holding off Will Stevens for so long. Stevens, an early contender for race victories when he came in for Taupo. He led a lot of that race before an unfortunate retirement. So he's no slouch, is Will Stevens, but Max Chilton proving his worth by holding off his compatriot for so long in that race, unfortunately retiring with a puncture. But looking at the front now, we are on lap 53 out of 54, the penultimate tour here in the League 2 Buenos Aires Grand Prix. There is Alex Lynn running in second place, about to start his penultimate lap. We ride on board with our race leader, Yuri Vips. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom. I'm not sure if Vips lost the lead through his first round pit stops, and if that's correct, I think Vips might be on for a Grand Slam here today.
I think he did lose the lead because he was behind Froco and Lynn in the first round of pit stops, so he wasn't able to pull out a big enough margin before he came in, so it wouldn't necessarily quite be the Grand Slam, but it's been most certainly a good hat-trick for him as Chris Neves puts a lap on the Force India there. But he's put himself in championship contention for the last race of the season at Laguna Seca. It's going to be a very, very titanic scrap going into the last round of the season. Will Andrew Sampson decide to field Froco? Because he must surely be thinking about giving him the opportunity of going for the title.
Well, with this third place finisher Fuoco is about to achieve, that will put him 14 points off the lead of the championship. It is very possible that Fuoco could end up stealing this away from the likes of Adrian Sittel and Will Power. So that is definitely something for Andrew Sampson to think about as Yuri Vips now starts his final lap. It won't quite be the Grand Slam for the Estonian driver, but I don't think that'll matter too much. You don't get any additional points for a Grand Slam. He will still come away with a full 27 points. He took pole position. He does hold the fastest lap at the moment, and he is about to take his debut Grand Prix victory on his debut. And what a drive it has been from him. And Alex Rossi there now having a lap put on him by our incoming race winner. We look at it now, Yuri Vips. What a performance this has been. Andrew Sampson will be taking note of this and thinking, where can he fit him into not just Laguna Seca, but also into Season 3, because Yuri Vips has put in a perfect audition for a full-time race seat, Tom.
But absolutely sure, and Vips is about to come home and deliver a solid victory, a very convincing victory, 20 seconds in front of Alex Lynn, his nearest rival.
So only a handful of corners left to go for the Estonian. He has lapped everyone up to Brendan Hartley. He has a gap of 20.4 seconds. No one has even gone near him. The closest anyone came to challenging him was Will Power for the first half of the lap, running side by side. Vips showing his racecraft there, but he now comes through the final corner and gets the power down. What a performance, what a drive, what a debut. It is victory for Yuri Vips in the League 2 Buenos Aires Grand Prix. What a performance from the Estonian driver. We can't really speak highly enough of just how good that was. And Jake Dennis, his first points in the championship with P10 there for Andrea Moda. Alex Lynn, he's going to put a lap down on Sergio Setecamera on the line, and he comes through to take second place. A great drive for Alex Lynn. That is his second podium of the season. Puts himself into the top 10 in the championship. And Antonio Fuoco, third place here. And Tom, I think that is just confirmed promotion for the Life team.
Yeah, but it looks of things, we're just looking at the championship standings at the moment, and indeed you are right, Life are promoted to League 1 for next season. I'm just looking at HRT's position as well. They are currently, as it stands, 44 points ahead of Eurobron, so it's not mathematically clinched, but should Eurobron fail to take pole position for the final round of the season, that is promotion clinched for the HRT squad.
So the Life team officially promoted into League 1 for Season 3, and HRT not quite there, but you know, it's a slither away. I think John Monroe and HRT could probably start celebrating a little bit early on that one. And Will Stevens there, home in P7, he capitalises on Max Chilton's unfortunate puncture. in the last few laps. What a race that was, Tom. So much going on in that race. And at the end of it, we have a debut victory, the third debut victory of the season, actually. So here are your official results. Yuri Vips wins on debut ahead of Alex Lynn. Antonio Fuoco's third place confirms promotion into League One for the Live team in Season 3. Helio Cashaneves, what a drive, 25th to 4th in that race. My driver of the day. Marcus Finkelhock and Jose Maria Lopez, 5th and 6th of Eurorun. Then Will Stevens, Brendan Harley, Alexander Rossi, Jake Dennis, 10th there for the Andrea Moda team. In 11th place, Sergio Teti Camera just missing out on points. Then Sam Bird, 12th for Zach Speed. Sergey Sorokin, Jack Aitken, Oliver Turvey, Mike Conway, Esteban Gutierrez and Max Chilton all classified. You can see there the fastest lap does indeed go to Yuri Vips. And our retirements out of that race: Gaston Mazzacane, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Adrian Sutil, Christian Lundgaard, Scott Speed, Will Power, Alan McNish and Lucas Di Grassi. And let's have a quick talk about the Drivers' Championship, Tom. After that race, barring any investigations or penalties, there are 9 points covering the top 4 going into the final round. And we also have both of the Live drivers still within a mathematical chance here. Fuoco 14 points off the lead and Sato 25 points off the lead. What a race and what a championship battle we are set for in Laguna Seca.
For absolutely sure, it's going to be absolutely intense going into these into the last round of the season. Who is going to be crowned champion? Well, Adrian Sutil is currently the favourite, despite not finishing today. Will Power, well, will he be ruining that mistake at Buenos Aires? He could have so easily have got a good haul of points in that. Helio Castroneves' comeback drive has kept him in the hunt. And, you know, with Lopez as well, doing a fine job this season, finishing in the points for the 7th consecutive race now as well for the Argentinian. So this is absolutely brilliant form from him. And yeah, this is going to go right down to the wire for absolutely sure for these guys. And of course in the Constructors, where Leighton House are not crowned champions yet of League 2, but it's almost certain that they will do, given the amount of points that Live needs to gain on them going into the last race at Laguna Seca. And HRT have virtually secured promotion for League 1. They've not mathematically secured it, but should Eurorun not take pole position, then HRT can start celebrating before the lights go out in the US.
Could that potentially have been a championship losing spin for Will Power? It was a move that was made under pressure from Alex Lynn. Will Power getting it all wrong through the Ascari curve and ending his race. How detrimental will that be as we look forward to the final round in Laguna Seca? But for now, we still have one more race left to go here in Buenos Aires. It is the turn of the League 1 drives coming up. We're going to take a quick break. Make sure you stay tuned. Do not go anywhere because it is set to be another fantastic battle here in Argentina. See you in a few minutes.
Ah, what music!
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready?
The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it. Attaboy.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake. What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It is like being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine low to the ground, extra big oil pan will cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when he runs it close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it, those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you primed, painted, and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last. There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darren Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
Oh, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. Sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
Yeah, you gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. And racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Well, we can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
Look out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes, every gear change, every corner. Perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it? What we do. It's passion, love, which is why we're prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never gonna get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my own. Please let me race.
fine. Then let's race.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We just had an absolutely stellar League 2 race here in Buenos Aires, where the Life team have secured promotion into League 1 for next season. So congratulations to the Life team, to Andrew Sampson and to Yuri Vips for claiming a debut win. What a fantastic drive that was from him. But for now, Tom, let's focus on League 1. Let's have a quick look at the driver standings heading into this one. With 2 rounds to go, Robin Fraines is at the top of the standings and he's yet to win a race this season, just consistently scoring points and getting podiums, and he's now 5 points ahead of Scott Dixon. Could we end up with a non-race winning champion this season, Tom? And mathematically, anyone down to Pascal Wehrlein in 9th can still win this championship. But I think it has to be said, it looks more likely to be, I'd say anyone probably within the top 6, just about Bourdais. I'd say he's on 85 points. He's 40 off the lead of Robin Fraines at the moment. But maybe a strong result today for Bourdais could get him right back into contention. Antonio Felix da Costa there in P3, 103 points, 22 points off the lead of his teammates at Super Guri. Nico Hulkenberg, we haven't seen that much of him in the last few races, but still scoring points and is there on 101, 8 ahead of Andre Lotterer, then Bourdais there on 85. Magnussen, Buemi and Verline still mathematically able to take the championship, but not really looking as realistic for them, is it, Tom?
No, it's not very much so. And I would say it's between the top 4 because Lotterer's qualifying has not been particularly great. If Bourdais can get a race victory, like he has done previously, then he's very much in the hunt for it going into the last round at Laguna Seca, I would think. But he needs misfortunes of others going his way.
It's a Grand Prix World Series. Who knows? Anything can happen here, and it usually does. A quick look at the team standings. Super Aguri lead the way on 228 points. Onyx have crept up through the order with race victories recently for Sebastian Bourdais, now 1 point ahead of Simtek and 37 behind Super Aguri. Still possible for Onyx to snatch this title away at the death at the last round. In Laguna Seca, Super Aguri, however, can wrap it up today should results go their way. Simtek in third ahead of Arrows on 159. Level on points with AGS actually. Arrows ahead on countback. 2 victories. 2 Arrows named, 1 each for Kobayashi and Hulkenberg there. And BMS Scuderia Italia still mathematically able to win the championship. But really, Tom, I'd say it's probably between our top 3 at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Super Aguri have been very consistent this season, as have Onyx. Simtek have not been scoring as many points as they should have been getting. Can't see Arrows or AGS in there, so yeah, I think I would say it's between 3 teams.
Now, Tom, we love close racing, but how close do you want it as far as our relegation battle is concerned?
Very close.
I mean, look at this. We've got Prost in 9th place at the moment on 50 points, and then for that crucial 10th place to stay in League 1 for Season 3, Midlands on 43, Minardi on 42, and 40 on 41. Mastercard Lola, I'm pretty sure they will be confirmed as relegated by the end of this race, but 2 points between Midlands, Minardi, and 40 for that crucial 10th place slot, Tom. What can you say about that?
It's going to be very close, but let's not rule Prost out of it either, because they still need to put together a couple of good results in this, because we've seen from Wittmann in Hockenheim where he got a 2nd place finish, and that changed the whole picture of relegation a lot. So Midland, Minardi or 40 could do with a good result, particularly Roy Nissany, who's qualified well today, and can he do well in the 40 to get them out of trouble?
Well, let's find out where everyone has qualified before we go down to trackside to start this League 1 race. And it's Stoffel Van Dorn who puts Simtek back into pole position. Sebastian Bourdais stopped their streak last time out, and Simtek now locking out the front row. Van Dorn ahead of Dixon, Bourdais there in 3rd, and Kevin Magnussen joins him on the 2nd row. Pascal Wehrlein putting both AGSs into the top 5. Roman Grosjean doing very well there in a manner to secure P6. Championship leader Robin Frames will start 7th ahead of Nelson Piquet Jr., hoping to get back into the points after his retirement last time out. Marco Wittmann in the Prost is in 9th ahead of Nico Hulkenberg in the Arrows in 10th. Row 6 made up of Marco Andretti and Nick de Vries, both looking to score points here today. Roy Nissany, he'll start P13. Can he get any points for 40 Corsi to help them get out of their relegation zone? Simona Di Silvestro, a good qualifying from her, she lines up 14th. 15th, Andre Lotterer, not good for a championship contender, alongside Danny Junkendaya in the Minardi. Thomas Enger staying with the Midland squad, and he will start from 17th today ahead of Artem Markelov in the Prost. Mika Salo and Tom Christensen on row 10, ahead of Tatiana Calderon and Kazuki Nakajima. And now our last 4 drivers all picked up back of the grid penalties at the last race. Antonio Fix da Costa, Paul Di Resta, Kamui Kobayashi and Sebastian Buemi, all very quick drivers, but all starting at the back of this race for various indiscretions last time out in Brno. So how will they progress today? And how will Simtek get on from their front row lockout? Van Dorn on pole position ahead of Scott Dixon. Bourdais looking to add his victory last time out from 3rd place. 2 AGS drivers in 4th and 5th. How is this one going to go? We're waiting for the lights to go out for the League 1 Buenos Aires Grand Prix, and we will get away for the penultimate round of the season. And we are off and away in Buenos Aires. It looks like it's a fantastic start for Stoffel Van Dorn. Gets the power down early and storms off into the lead of this race. Scott Dixon coming under pressure there from the AGS drivers who are coming up past Sebastian Bourdais. And Kevin Magnussen straight through into P2 there from 4th on the grid. A good start there from the Dane. And it looks like Wehrlein has followed him through from 5th to run now in P3, where Van Dorn holds on to the lead. And actually, look in the background there, Dixon has indeed taken third place back of Pascal Wehrlein. We've got a driver who's gone off there. It's Thomas Enger in the middle, and we saw him just there in the background running off. I wonder if that is of his own volition, or has he been tagged by someone. We're going to get a replay of it here, riding on board with the Czech driver in the middle and going through turn 2 here. Is there going to be contact? And no, it looks like he's gone off all on his own there. His front wing breaks off, not quite able to keep the car pointing in the right direction there, and he falls to the back and will have to come into the pits to get some repairs to that front wing. To me, Tom, actually Piquet Jr. is now off. And was that of his own accord, or has he been taken off? We're hoping for a replay of that to see whether he has indeed been tagged there. Nelson Piquet Jr. was hoping to get another points finish here today, but now dropping to the back. I think still ahead of Thomas Enger, but that is not what he will have wanted. So Tom, I was just about to cut to you. Let's talk to you now. An eventful first few corners. Enger looked like he was all on his own.
Yeah, Enger looked like he just lost it all by himself, got offline onto the dirty stuff, got onto the gravel, and nearly took out Artem Markelov as well as he rejoined, so that could have ended in tears there. Nelson Piquet, not sure what's happened there. I'm not sure if he got attacked from behind by someone, but I think it is inconclusive proofs, to be quite honest with you, so probably just let that one go, unfortunately, as it is a first lap incident. So Van Dorn got the start he needed, Magnussen second, Dixon back into third after he briefly got overtaken by Pascal Wehrlein, and Sebastian Bourdais down to fifth. He's not had a good start. Nick de Vries has done a good job though. He's in 6th place after starting 12th on the grid.
I had not noticed that, Tom. What a start from Nick de Vries in the BAR, rising up 6 positions to be ahead of our championship leader Robin Freins, who now puts his fellow Dutchman under attack here. Freins can win the championship today, but he will need results to go his way somewhat. He needs to outscore Scott Dixon by at least 22 points if he is to take the championship here today. So effectively, Freins has to win the race, but from P6 at the moment, it doesn't look like it might happen today. Oh, what's happened with Salo here? And he's lost on his front wing. Is that just from riding on the grass a bit? It looked like he got onto the curb a bit as he lined up for turn 3. So maybe just a bit of a rough ride across the curbing there. And Salo, this is not what Forte Corsi will want, Tom. They're chasing that P10 spot to get themselves out of relegation. And Roy Nassani at the moment up there in P12, and Salo damaging his front wing.
Yeah, that'll be him back into the pits for a new front wing, put himself out of sync with the rest of the field. Oh, there was a lunge there. Was that Danny Unkindale trying to get through on Andre Lotterer? I think it was. But luckily no contact was made between the two drivers, and so they continue. But this is crucial for Minardi as well in their battle to beat the drop.
So Andre Lotterer running in P15 at the moment. This is not what he needs if he is to get the championship this season. He is very much right in the championship battle here this season. Currently 5th as it stands going into this race, 32 points off the lead, and a non-score today will see him not pick up the championship this season. Stoffel Van Dorn, a 1:26.4 fastest lap there, ahead of Kevin Magnussen, up from P4 on the grid to be in P2. A great start there from the Dane, looking to get some good points today for the AGS team, who are still mathematically in contention for this championship, but realistically not really aiming for the championship anymore, just hoping to get as many points on the board as they can. Scott Dixon here, second in the championship as it stands at the moment, now running in P3, and he will try and close in on that gap of Kevin Magnussen as much as possible. A gap of 1.1 seconds between those two at the moment. It's 2.2 between Van Dorn and Magnussen, and Van Dorn using the opportunity here in clear air to get out into leads. Bourdais looking down the inside there at Pascal Wehrlein, not quite able to get the move done there. We saw a lot of attempts, Tom, into that corner in League 2 race, but I don't think we actually saw any pulled off successfully there. So the League 1 drivers, they will have taken note of that, but Bourdais still feeling as though he could have had a look down the inside there.
Yeah, he thought about it, but it was not going to be the place to get the move done. So it'll be the start-finish straight. I would think that Bourdais will get the job done on Wehrlein, so we'll wait and see on that one. And of course it's a pivotal time in the race to know who is on what strategy, because we saw Yuri Vips completely dominate out in front. I wonder if Stoffel Van Dorn will be thinking about doing the same. Having said that, Simtek's horsepower has been very, very superior in comparison to the others.
Stoffel Van Dorn bringing the fastest lap down even further, and pit strategy, a good thing to think about with this race, Tom. We saw Yuri Vips do it on a 2-stop strategy earlier on, which we were surprised about actually, because we thought that the other guys around him might have been on a 1-stop strategy with a heavier fuel load. Such was the pace advantage of Vips in that race. but they were all on the same strategy. I think Winkelhock was the only one out of the front runners who was on the one-stop strategy, and he came home in 4th place in that race, but the winning strategy was a two-stopper, and I wonder what Van Dorn is doing here today in relation to Kevin Magnussen. There is a definite horsepower advantage in that Simtek, which he's putting to good use at the moment. As Bourdais having another look at Wehrlein there into the Ascari curve and not able to find a way through. That ruins Bourdais' momentum going down into the following corner. And all Bourdais, a little bit of luck up there. He is pushing that Onyx for all he's worth. He was our race winner last time out in Brno, and he wants to make it 2 from 2 here in Buenos Aires. A bit of a luck up there going into the Entrada a los Mixtos corner and staying in P5 at the moment.
So the race is beginning to settle down now, with Freins in 6th place and Dixon 3rd. As it stands, Dixon will be going into the last round of the season as the championship leader, but we've still got an awful long way to go yet.
We are only starting lap 5 now. Van Dorn putting in another fastest lap here, another 26.3. He is absolutely flying out front at the moment, but we've said it so many times, Tom, and I'm going to say it again. The Simtek has the speed, but not necessarily the reliability.
Yeah, and yes, Dixon just thinking about further ahead rather than thinking about just trying to challenge for the league. As that's Paul arrested down the inside of Simona Di Silvestro. That puts him up to 13th place. That's a crucial move. The next man up from him is Roy Nissany, who will be one of his rivals in the battle for relegation between 40 and Midland.
So we're thinking about the challenge for the title today between the likes of Robin Fraines, Scott Dixon and co, but just as important is that battle for relegation. Or Bourdais, the closest he's ever been through there, but still not able to find a way through past Pascal Wehrlein. The relegation battle just as important in some ways as the battle for the championship, and is so close between the likes of Prost, Midland, Minardi and 14. Any points gained now could be the difference when we reach a checkered flag next time out in Laguna Seca for the season finale. Prost currently has that advantage with 50 points, 7 ahead of Midland, who is 1 point ahead of Minardi, who is 1 point ahead of 40. And with Marsicar Lola not on course to score any points at the moment, they have Simona Di Silvestro in P15 at the moment, with no points scored for them. That will confirm relegation into League 2 for the British outfit, currently headed up by Alain Charles, the French team principal, who has already confirmed that he will be departing the squad at the end of the season. So if any team principals out there fancy a go with Marsicar Lola, they can put their names into the hats for that. And Antonio Fix da Costa started this race down at the back by virtue of having picked up a back of the grid penalty last time out in Brno. Started in P23, and is now up into 13th. A great drive here from Antonio Fix da Costa, and that is going to be important with his championship challenge, Tom, because he's not that far off the top either. Currently 22 points off the lead of his teammate Fraines going into this race. So any points that da Costa can pick up today might end up being the difference when we reach the last lap in Laguna Seca.
Yeah, so but Bourdais trying to get through on sort of Wehrlein there at the Ascari curve, but no, didn't quite perfect.
Well, we got a spin there. And Tatiana Calderon. So we were just talking about that, and oh, she's reversing back onto track it very quickly. Oh, gone for a little bit of a jump over the racetrack there. I don't know what Calderon's quite doing there. She has gone for a spin, broken off the entire nose cone there, and I mean, I don't know what happened there, Tom. She put it straight into reverse. As we've got someone expiring here. It's Marco Wittmann. That is not good news for the Prost team. They want to avoid relegation this season. That is not the way to do it. It's an engine problem for Marco Wittmann. And Tom, it's your team. Dare I ask you about it?
It's a body blow there for Wittmann, and not good news for Prost's pursuits of survival. But they are still ahead of Minardi, 40 and Midland quite comfortably at the moment. And with them all out of the points at the moment, as it stands, the positions would still be the same.
So Tatiana Calderon putting her car into reverse and then slamming on the accelerator by the looks of it, throwing her car over the racetrack in that one, but she is able to continue and she will get back to the pits, but that will put her all the way to the back of the field. And I think League One will be saying goodbye to Marsicar Lola when it comes to season's end. As it stands, no points, and no points for them will mean they are relegated down into League Two. Back at the front, Stoffel Van Dorn there, we saw briefly leading 4.7 seconds ahead of Kevin Magnussen. Dixon in third, not really making any headway into Kevin Magnussen. We thought he might close in on the day, in the early parts of this race, but 1.2 seconds behind the AGS driver and not really making any headway. Actually, he's lost a bit of time there. It's now 3.1 seconds as Roy Nissany coming under pressure there from Sebastian Buemi. Another driver going all the way up front the back of grid, and I believe it was Buemi who started dead last. Out of the ones who were given back of the grid penalties, they were arranged in the order that they were given them in the race, and Buemi was starting right at the back of the grid. Da Costa from P23 to P11 and Buemi from P26 to P13. Also to Resta, P24 to P14. Some great drives there from those drivers. The only one missing out of them at the moment is Kamui Kobayashi. We caught a brief glimpse of him just a moment ago, getting it all wrong through the chicane. Out of the top 15 at the moment, but brilliant drive so far from these guys. As we see Antonio Felix da Costa down the inside of Marco Andretti and into the points. 8 laps into this race, he's gone from effectively last to in the points.
It's been a brilliant drive from Da Costa so far. You can see Kevin Magnussen in second place doing rather well still. And Andre Lotterer.
Oh, what's up to Lotterer? And Lotterer, he's done what Mika Salo did a few laps ago. He's gone too wide into the entry point of turn 3 and has broken off part of his front wing, and that is an absolute disaster for Andre Lotterer. His misery was being compounded even further by that. He's out of the top 15 and as it stands will drop out of contention for the championship. I think that has pretty much confirmed it, Tom.
Yeah, I think that really seals Lotterer's chances of going for the title now. That's surely the end of it for him, unless there's a minor miracle further up front. Stoffel Van Dorn pits in. He's got a brake problem.
Oh, Stoffel Van Dorn in, out of the lead with a brake problem. Not good news there for the Simtech. We spoke earlier on about their reliability and how it's come back to haunt them so many times this season. And Magnussen about to take the lead. He's now got a suspension failure. That is not good news for the AGS team. Magnussen about to take the lead of this Grand Prix. He's now being overtaken there by Wehrlein and by Sebastian Bourdais-Dixon. Now into the lead of this race, and that could be crucial as far as the championship is concerned. Dixon effectively being gifted P1 there. Oh, a bit of a rough ride across the grass there, but Dixon straight from P3 into P1 being gifted it there, Tom. Van Dorn into the pits with a brake problem, and Magnussen out with a suspension failure.
So that's 2 changes of lead in the space of a few seconds as looking at Markelov actually, who's about to make a move on someone. Can't quite tell. Oh, it's the Minardi of Danny Okunderas. It's a good move from Markelov to go up into 15th position there. Van Dorn down in 14th place now.
That is an absolute disaster for the Simtech team. Super Aguri can claim the championship today. And with Van Dorn and Dixon then running P1 and P3, that would have stopped it happening today. That could change the complexion of the championship. Dixon leads at the moment, but with Fraines in 4th and Acosta in 8th. How is that going to look regarding Super Aguri's chances at the championship? We'll bring you those updates later on, once we get a bit of a clearer picture as to who is where when we approach the closing stages of this race. But Stoffel Van Dorn from P1 down to P14. What a disaster for the Belgian racer.
Well, that's really appalling. I mean, it wasn't in the championship race anyway, but that's still not good news for Simtex's hopes in the constructors either. Fraines in 4th place, Da Costa now 8th.
Da Costa having an absolutely fantastic race here. Started P23, now on lap 10, and Da Costa up into 8th place. What a drive from the Portuguese racer. We saw it in the League 2 race from Helio Castro Neves, going from effectively last all the way up into, I think it was 4th place he finished in that race. It was a great drive from the Leighton House as Danny Okunderas surrenders 16th position there to Kamui Kobayashi, who is now chasing down Artem Markelov for 15th position. Van Dorn just up the road from that particular battle. Pascal Wehrlein now upholding the honour for AGS. Magnussen briefly took the lead before having his suspension failure, and he's now out of the race. So Wehrlein, the sole remaining AGS here in Buenos Aires, is Hulkenberg looking down the inside there of Nick de Vries, not able to get the move done. And how is that going to affect his momentum with Antonio Felix da Costa right behind him now? Da Costa looking to make even more overtakes here. There is Scott Dixon, now 6.3 seconds in the lead. He was falling off the back of Kevin Magnussen earlier on and is now in the lead of this race with quite a comfortable margin over Sebastian Bourdais, 3.6 seconds as I said. Wehrlein a bit further down the road, 1.6 behind Sebastian Bourdais, and Dixon, he'll be absolutely laughing right now.
Imagine so. Dixon, this is very good for his championship. He just needs to keep the car on the road now and not suffer any reliability issues. If he does that, then he's on course potentially to take his first Grand Prix World Series championship. And Sebastian Bourdais, his second place would not keep him in the hunt. The only way it would keep him in the hunt is something happens to Dixon.
Well, Dixon doing everything he needs to at the moment, with frames down in 4th place. Dixon would assume the lead of the championship should it finish this way, but Tom, we are only on lap 11 out of 54. We both know this. Anything can happen in this championship, and it usually does.
Yeah, Pascal Wehrlein in 3rd place as well. I think he went into the round still mathematically in contention, wasn't he? But I think even with where he is, I think he's still going to be out of it. He needs to be winning this race, does Pascal Wehrlein. Watching De Costa right on board, you can just see Nico Hulkenberg trying to make a move on Nick de Vries for 6th up to no avail, and De Costa closes back in on these guys. It surely won't be too long before De Costa gets ahead of these two.
And Kevin Magnussen's retirement officially drops him out of contention for the championship. He was 46 points behind going into this race, and with 27 points up for grabs in Laguna Seca and a no score for Magnussen, he will not be winning this year's championship. A shame there for the Dane. He was having a great season, had the threat of being dropped earlier on in the season by Phil Kinch and the team, responded with a 2nd place finish in Istanbul and followed that up with victory at the Birmingham Super Prix. So Magnussen really turning on the form in the second half of the season, although has suffered a slew of retirements, including today's one, and he is now officially dropped out of contention for the League One Drivers' title. Pascal Wehrlein, on the other hand, he went into this race 54 points behind, with 54 points on the table, and with him not securing pole position for this race, Wehrlein can no longer win the championship himself. But he can still do everything he can to get some good results here, Tom, running in P3 at the moment. And should we have any reliability issues befalling the likes of Dixon ahead of him, Wehrlein might be in a bit of a strong position here to get some points on the board for AGS.
Yeah, and remember Pascal Wehrlein finished on the podium in that race of attrition race at Buenos Aires last year. As you can see, Hulkenberg, De Costa looked like he was going to try and do it round the outside into Ascari, but couldn't quite do it. And now Buemi's alongside, and Buemi gets through on him.
So a 4-way battle going on at the moment for 6th place between de Vries, Hulkenberg, Buemi and Da Costa. The Portuguese driver losing out to Buemi for 8th position, having lost momentum getting on the back of Nico Hulkenberg there. A great scrap going on between those two, all out on their own at the moment. Roman Grosjean 3 seconds up the road from that battle, and Marco Andretti 3.3 seconds behind. So we'll keep an eye on that battle with a lot of intent here. Now, here is Roy Nissany in 11th place, or we were looking at Nissany, but he's in 11th place at the moment with Paul di Resta right behind him, and this is going to be a crucial battle between those two, Tom, because both 40 and Midland need as many points on the board if they are to stop themselves from getting relegated. As we look at Acosta back down the inside here of Sebastian Buemi, those two coming up front the back of the grid together, and now challenging Hulkenberg and de Vries for 6th and 7th. And Thomas Enger getting a little bit locked up there, but keeping his Midland going the right way. But Tom, that battle going on between Nissany and de Resta, Van Dorn has now split them going into P12, but how important is that going to be for points?
It's going to be crucial. Van Dorn trying to get his way past Boy's next. Roy Nissany just got by Paul di Resta actually, so he's up into 12th place. Nissany and Andretti are the next guys in front of him, which he needs to pass.
So Sebastian Bourdais, you're looking at now 3.4 seconds, maybe that 3.3 seconds behind Dixon. As Buemi back down the inside of Antonio Victor da Costa again, those two swapping positions for a 3rd time within the space of about 1 lap, and it's a titanic battle going on between these guys. De Vries holding on to 6th place at the moment, with Nico Hulkenberg not able to make the move on the Dutchman at the moment, and then behind those two, Buemi and da Costa fighting amongst themselves with P8 and P9. What a titanic battle it is. It's going to be so interesting to see how that battle transpires over the rest of the race. Here is your race leader, Scott Dixon, 3.3 seconds, and Bourdais closing in just a little bit in the last couple of sectors. Not too much at the moment, and Dixon not feeling too worried as it stands at the moment. Still a long way to go, and Tom, we're getting to around about that window now where we'll start to see the two stoppers coming into the pits.
Yep, Hulkenberg making a move on de Vries for 6th position. Can he make it? Yes, he can. Hulkenberg is through.
So Nico Hulkenberg through on Nick de Vries into P6. De Vries now under attack from his teammate Sebastian Buemi coming up front and back of the grid, well into the points now. De Vries, will he get out of the way of his teammates, or will he want to hold station? We've got Sebastian Buemi, who is mathematically still able to win his championship, but realistically not so much. So De Vries maybe not feeling the need to get out of the way of his teammates here, because don't forget, Tom, Season 3 is coming up soon. And can Nick de Vries do anything to secure himself a seat in Season 3?
He can do anything. I mean, even if BAR decide not to keep him, there's other teams out there who will most certainly want him. You can imagine a lot of the League 3 teams will want Nick de Vries' services, but Nick de Vries will want to be in League 1 because he wants to be crowned champion of the Grand Prix World Series.
He absolutely will indeed. And Sam Hall of the Manor team getting in touch via the YouTube live chat, saying that's a nice championship lead you've got there, Topher. Shame if something were to happen. In case any of our viewers don't know, I am the team principal of the Super Aguri team that currently has Frains in 4th and Acosta in 9th. Frains leading the Drivers' Championship and Super Aguri leading the Constructors' Championship. And Sam Hall there being a little bit cheeky, trying to put the curse onto the team there. I really hope that nothing does happen, but stranger things have happened within the Grand Prix World Series. As we have our first pit stop, Roman Grosjean out of P5 into the pit lane. First of the 2 stoppers, Tom.
Yeah, he's in. I wonder where he'll come back out after all this. And Costa's back through on Buemi. Van Don passing Andretti for what is now 9th place. So Van Don recovering well, but I don't know if they added fuel into the car when he came into the pits earlier, Topher.
Usually they don't within the Grand Prix World Series. They tend to stick to a strategy as much as they can. I think if he was coming in around about the time where his pit stop was going to be anyway, then they'll probably put fuel on board. But because it's quite early on, I don't think they will have. As Da Costa very nearly getting up the side of Nick de Vries there. He splits the 2 BAR drivers, having repassed Buemi there, which is now for P7 with Grosjean having come into the pit lane. Dixon in the lead, he's now coming up to lap back marker there. That looks like the Mastercard Lola of Tatiana Calderon, who has already been into the pits from her excursion into the barrier earlier on in this race. Dixon about to put a lap on the female Colombian there. This battle going on for 6th, 7th and 8th. That soon is going to be joined by the fast-charging Stoffel Van Dorn, who will be driving a bit angry at the moment, having had that brake problem before his Simtech earlier on. So we can expect to see Van Dorn on the back of that battle anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think Calderon's just moving out of the way of the leader of Dixon, so Dixon gets through without any issue, and it won't be too long before Balday gets onto the rear of that Mastercard Lola. So far off the pace this season, and deservedly so, they are going to be relegated.
And it's absolutely no surprise that they will be without a team principal next season. They're moving on to a new project for Season 3. We will reveal more details about that during the off-season. Here is Sebastian Bourdais, P2, actually closing in a bit on Dixon now. The gap earlier on was around about 3 seconds. It's now down to 2.4. We will keep an eye on that, see if Bourdais can bring that down any further. But we've got the first round of pit stops coming up very soon for these front runners and whoever the 2 stoppers are. So Da Costa has got past de Vries off camera. We haven't seen that. Da Costa into 6th place, and de Vries now under attack from his own teammate Sebastian Buemi.
So Bourdais just coming up to the Mastercard Lola now. Pascal Wehrlein 3rd, Freins 4th, Hulkenberg 5th, and Da Costa getting ahead of de Vries now as well. So Da Costa's disposed of the BARs. Now he's got Hulkenberg next up in front, with Van Dorn stuck behind Sebastian Buemi over 8th place.
So we run on lap 17 out of 54. Scott Dixon leads 2.4 seconds ahead of Sebastian Bourdais. Pascal Wehrlein in 3rd, Robin Freins in 4th, Nico Hulkenberg 5th. Da Costa, Buemi and de Vries now jostling position, and that's because Buemi's into the pits from P8. So the first of our front runners to come in for a scheduled pit stop. That will be a 2-stop strategy for the Swiss driver, and Paul de Resta also in as well. Another important battle there for de Resta. He was around about Nissany in their fights for relegation, or rather to avoid relegation, as many points needed as possible there. And de Resta, what strategy is he going to be on in comparison to Nissany? We'll keep an eye to see when the Israeli driver comes into the pits. Is he on a 1-stop strategy or a 2-stop strategy?
We'll wait and see as de Resta and Buemi came into the pits for the first of what is planned to be their first of 2 stops each. So I wonder where Buemi and de Resta will have rejoined outside the top 15 now. And Kazuki Nakajima's moved up to 14th position. Remember, he started 22nd on the grid, and so he needs to do everything he can to support Onyx's hopes of the Constructors' title this season, as Nissany all over the back of Andretti of what is now 9th position. Now this is crucial for Nissany, who's scored brilliantly for 40, and Saleh, who hasn't quite been scoring as many points this season as the Israeli, but the Israeli has done a really splendid job for the 40 team.
He has indeed. He's finished in the points on 4 occasions since coming into the 40 Corsi team in place of Jeff Gordon. in time for the Chennai Grand Prix. Now Bourdais into the pits, so 20 laps of fuel going on board on that Onyx. That will take him onto a 2-stop strategy here. Dixon has yet to come into the pit, so is he running a longer first stint on a 2-stop strategy, or maybe trying out the 1-stop strategy? If he is on a 2-stop strategy, we will expect to see him in on the next lap, or possibly the lap after. Di Silvestro also into the pits, as well as Nico Hulkenberg. And Bourdais rejoins in P5 behind Da Costa, and crucially, just ahead of Nick de Vries and Stoffel Van Dorn. So with clear air and fresh tyres, Bourdais not getting held up so much in traffic now, and can use that advantage to get his tyres up into temperature and get himself back off onto Scott Dixon. And will the undercut work here maybe? He was only about 2 seconds off the back of Dixon before he came in for his pit stop. So can he make the undercuts work here today on the Kiwi driver? We'll wait and see when Dixon comes into the pits. And De Vries, he's now got Van Dorn attacking him, and almost a little bit of a nudge there between those two. Van Dorn having to get out of it to avoid an airplane crash between those two through that fast sweeping right-hander. Van Dorn thinking better of it on that occasion. We now run aboard with Robin Frains in the number 9 Super Guri P3 at the moment, 3.3 seconds off the back of Pascal Wehrlein, and just running his own race at the moment. He's in the lead of the championship at the moment and just wants to make sure he can pick up as many points as possible before we get to the last round in Laguna Seca. Frains yet to win a race this season. Can he become champion, having not won a Grand Prix? That would be quite a story there for the Dutchman. Pascal Wehrlein there in P2, not in contention for the championship anymore, so racing for pride and racing to ensure that Phil Kinch maintains his faith in him going into season 3. Nick de Vries now under attack from Stoffel Van Dorn, and that looks to be an easy overtake there for the Belgian. Down the inside into turn 1, and Van Dorn back up into 6th place.
So no problem there for Van Dorn getting through as Nissani comes into the pits for 40. Now this is a crucial pit stop for their season really now. Markov moves up into the points, but he's yet to make his first stop of the afternoon. I wonder if he's going to be trying the 1-stop. Is the Russian who's aiming to score his first points in the Grand Prix World Series. You can see Dixon continuing on out in front. 8-9 seconds ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. Now remember, Dixon has yet to pit in this race. I don't know if he is going to be doing a 1-stop or a 2-stop. Whatever he's doing, this pace is absolutely brilliant.
Well, we're coming up to the pit entry now. He continues on for another lap, so that will be going on to lap 20 for the Kiwi, and I do wonder whether he might be on a 1-stop strategy, which would underline his pace even more, Tom, because if he's on the 1-stop strategy, he's had a heavier fuel load and he's still been pulling away from those who have been challenging him, the likes of Wehrlein and so on, and Bourdais as well. So good job so far from Scott Dixon, and that will be crucial if he wants to win the championship this time in season 2. There he is, a Kiwi driver. Da Costa now into pits as well, so he is on the 2-stop strategy, so on a bit of a lighter fuel load in his first stint, making his way up from P23 on the grid all the way up into 4th place before coming into the pits. Super Guri now need a good pit stop to get him out into some clear air. We'll keep an eye on the graphic to see where he comes out. He's now dropped behind Kazuki Nakajima. Nelson Piquet Jr. now there in 9th place. He went for a spin earlier on. He's recovered well to be up there in P9. Da Costa is out in 11th place. He's behind Roman Grosjean and ahead of Danny Juncadella in a Minardi. There's his teammate Robin Frains in P3. Yet to come in for his own pit stop yet. Is he also maybe on a 1-stop strategy? I would expect, Tom, that if we do have any more 2-stop runners in this race, they will be coming in either on this lap or the next at the latest.
We've just seen Brony pulling off a move on Hulkenberg for he's 13th on the road, but that could well effectively be 5th place by the time the pit stops are done. You can see Scott Dixon going around for another lap. He's got to be 1-stopping now, hasn't he?
I would have thought so. Oh, Blamey there. He's out of the pits on fresh tyres, trying to get past Danny Juncadella. And a little bit of a lock-up there from Robin Frains. He won't want to make too many mistakes like that. He is our championship leader, and he wants to try and go into Laguna Seca, keeping that advantage, and that is not what he'll want to do. And that's Super Guri. He needs to keep it on the track and make sure he gets to the end of this race. Bourdais closing down on the Dutch driver now on the fresher rubber. And there is your top 3 lap times so far in Last Round. Dixon blowing them out of the water with his effort. He's 4/10 faster than Scott Dixon, and crucially 1.3 seconds faster than Robin Frains, so he's closing right in on the Dutchman. Bourdais trying a different strategy here to Scott Dixon, who's still yet to come into the pits. He's just put a lap there on what I think is Mika Salo in the 40 Corsi, and Grosjean down the inside here on Nelson Piquet Jr. That is for 9th place. I don't think Piquet's actually been into the pits yet So maybe he's on a one-stop strategy as well. He's now under attack from Da Costa, down the inside and into 10th position, back into the points. A quick look there at the graphic. Our only 2 retirements so far, Magnussen and Wittmann. Very good race attritionally so far, Tom.
Very good. So, only 2 retirements so far, 24 still running. I was looking at Nelson Piquet actually coming out of turn 3 there, and I was just thinking, has he got a problem of some sort? Because he wasn't going that quick on the exit of the corner.
I think Piquet hasn't yet been into the pit, so possibly just on all the rubber at this point in the race. As Nico Hülkenberg there, all over the back of Danny Juncadella. Another driver trying to get that move done through the Ascari curve and not able to get the job done. It seems to be a bit of a common place where drivers like to have a look to try and unsettle the driver in front going into the Entrada a los Mixtos corner. So maybe it's just a bit of a tactic rather than an outright attempt at an overtake, Tom. Maybe it's just tactics of trying to unsettle them into the braking zone of the next corner.
So Pascal Wehrlein in 2nd place, which is where he finished last year when he was a BAR driver. Fries in 3rd. Bourdais narrowing the gap now to Dixon. I don't think this is enough to complete an undercut on him, but remember Bourdais is 2-stopping, Dixon we believe is just making the 1.
It's around about 20 or 21 seconds for a pit stop here, depending on how well your pit crew does. Bourdais, as it runs, is 22.6 seconds off the lead. So would be there or thereabouts to Dixon when he comes in for his pit stop. But as you say, Tom, Bourdais has to make another pit stop in this race.
Yeah. So Fines in 3rd place. He's coming up to lap the, well, looks like the MasterCard Lola of Tatiana Calderon. I don't know who's having another race to forget, to be quite honest with you. And looking further down the order, Nakajima up to 8th from the back of the grid. He's behind Marco Andretti with Roman Grosjean and Antonio Felix da Costa rounding out your top 10 point scorers at this present moment. And yeah, it looks pretty much settled down now towards the front of the field. It's more towards maybe like in the lower end of the points, would you say, Topher?
It's pretty settled at the moment, is this race. It's not been too much action going on at the moment. We've seen a few attempts overtaking. We had that monstrous battle for 6th place between De Vries, Buemi, Hülkenberg and Da Costa. A lot going on in that battle, but that has now settled down through the pit stop phase, and we run aboard now with Paul di Resta, who is outside of the top 15 at the moment. He's behind Minardi, which I think will be Tom Christensen, because Juncadella, as you can see on the graphic, is ahead of Roy Nissany. So this will be Paul di Resta behind the Minardi of Tom Christensen, and this is so important regarding relegation, because both Minardi and Midland, they need as many points as they can get. And with 40 Corsi having Nissany in P15 at the moment, they're not challenging for the points just yet, but as this race progresses, we could see them getting into the top 10. We could have some more attrition later on in this race. It's so important to make sure that you're in a position to be able to capitalise when other ones around you fail. And we're running aboard now with Tatiana Calderon in the MasterCard Lola. I think it is pretty much now safe to say, Tom, MasterCard Lola, I think we can say goodbye to them in League One.
Yep, and hello to Leighton House and Life, because they've confirmed their promotions for next season. HRT are almost there as well, so we can't wait to see how they get on next season. We just see Martin Markov in 20th position. He's made a pit stop already in this race, and he's just about to be overtaken by the BMS Scuderia Italia. That looks like Andre Lotterer, who's got through. He's had another race to forget, hasn't he?
Now, what has happened with Andre Lotterer in this race? He is one of our championship contenders. He's on 93 points at the moment, which is 32 points off the lead going into this race. He is a race winner this season. He took victory in Fuji, didn't score in Estoril, retired in Brno, and at the moment he's running in P20. When the pressure's on for the championship, Tom, it looks like Lotterer has just crumbled under that pressure.
Yeah, he hasn't had it. I think since Nelson Piquet Jr. came in place of Pietro Fittipaldi, Lotterer he's just lost his mojo. He just hasn't had the mojo that he had in the beginning of the year, and it's just all fallen away from him.
So Lotterer outside of the points. It looks like he will now be outside of contention for the championship when we come to the last round in Laguna Seca. And Calderon having a bit of moment there, and she's gone off for a second time this race, able to keep it out of the barrier on this occasion, and she continues. But that is not a good shade on Tatiana Calderon in that MasterCard Lola. A bit of a dog of a car this season. Calderon trying her best with the machinery that she has at her disposal. I think she will be happy to see the end of that MasterCard Lola when we go into Season 3. Not yet confirmed for a seat next season, so if any team principals think they'd like to take a punt on Calderon, she is a fantastic driver, just hasn't really had the machinery at her disposal this season. So if you look at this and thinking Calderon might actually be a good shout for a Season 3 seat, she might well be available.
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a few managers. I don't know how many women are going to be involved in terms of team managers next season, but could they maybe take a punt on a few female drivers? Because obviously there's other female drivers like Jamie Chadwick. Who else is also tested a Formula 1 car?
Actually, no, I have to correct you there, Tom. Jamie Chadwick hasn't actually yet tested a Formula 1 car. She's not eligible.
Ah, okay. Well, we know Susie Wolf has done. She's tested, obviously, a Formula 1 car. Of course, she was a Season 1 driver for the MasterCard Lola team. Can you name any other female drivers who would be eligible?
Well, Simona Di Silvestro, also racing for the MasterCard Lola team. She tested for the Sauber team a few years ago. She is eligible for the Grand Prix World Series, and don't forget, she won the non-championship Vancouver Grand Prix at the start of the season, so she does have race-winning pedigree, albeit not for championship points. So, again, just one of those drivers that just doesn't have the machinery available to her to be able to compete. So Di Silvestro, I think if she can get herself into a decent team for Season 3, could actually be a contender. So maybe something for any new team principals to think about. With regards to other female drivers, you mentioned Susie Wolf there. She did an FP1 session for the winning team. Oh, Da Costa, hang on a moment there. Has he gone off? No, he's collected altogether. And just cutting across the front there of Roman Grosjean. That could have been disaster for Antonio Felix Da Costa. He does not want to drop out of contention for this championship. He's 22 points behind going into this race. So any points that he can get there will help him stay in contention. He's currently in P8, which at the moment I don't think would quite be enough to keep him in contention, especially with this guy, Scott Dixon, out in the lead. Stoffel Van Dorn there now putting a lap on Calderon through the Ascari curve. Da Costa, we've had 2 mistakes from the Super Aguri team now, one for Frains earlier on, and now one for Da Costa. Maybe championship pressure just settling in a little bit for those 2 drivers there at the Japanese team.
Just want to see what as it stands in the drivers' standings for in League 1. Robin Frains would lose the lead, and Scott Dixon would move on to 145 points. He's probably set the fastest up of the race as well, so that would be 146. Unless you may have to correct me on that, Topher.
I think you are correct about Dixon. Actually, it might be Van Dorn. He was setting a lot of fastest laps earlier on, but we will get confirmation of that at the end of the race as to who has that extra point for fastest lap. But as it stands, as you say, Tom, Dixon is set to retake the lead in the championship with 1 round to go.
So De Vries into the pits for there's a front wing gone on the arrows. Who's that? Is that Hulkenberg who's lost it, or is that Kobayashi?
It is Kamui Kobayashi, another driver who has taken a rough ride across the curbing and broken a front wing. He will have to come into the pits as a result, as Piquet Jr. also win as well. Piquet, I think, on a one-stop strategy here. He had a spin earlier on, but with no damage, so he was able to continue at the back of the field. He made up a few positions through the pit stop phase of the 2 stoppers. Now coming in for his one and only and dropping out of the top 15. Where will he end up when we come to the conclusion of this race? Pascal Wehrlein we run aboard now with in P2, 11.2 seconds off the back of Scott Dixon. Dixon looking very comfortable out in the lead at the moment. But can he get to the end? We keep asking this question time after time, Tom. That Simtech is so powerful in terms of its horsepower, but it's not the most reliable, is it?
De Bourdais has got the gap down now to under 21 seconds, so he should get in front of Dixon when Dixon comes in for his only stop of the race. Wehrlein's in from 2nd.
And Frains also in from 3rd as well, so the 1 stop is now starting to come into the pits. Dixon not yet through the pits. He is still in the lead of this race, and he will keep the lead when he comes in for his one and only pit stop later on. Sebastian Buemi there right up the back of Kazuki Nakajima fighting there for P9. Grosjean just up the road, and Andretti is now under pressure from Antonio Felix Da Costa for P6. So Wehrlein is out in P4 and Frains is out in P5. So both within the top 5 and on for some good points here today. Nakajima now into pits as well from P10, looking at his fuel load there. 29 laps of fuel. He is going to the end of the race, and can Nakajima get any more points for the Onyx team? And talking about the Constructors' Championship, Tom, Onyx have come on very strong in the last few races, especially bringing on Sebastian Bourdais back into a race seat. Don't forget, he was dropped down to the reserve driver role at the end of Season 1, brought back in mid-season, won his first race back in the championship at Istanbul, and followed that up with a win last time out in Brno. Could he get another podium here today and help Onyx as they chase down the championship? 90 points left up for grabs going into this race. Onyx 37 behind Simtek, and this has been a great season for Onyx, a lot better than last season. They've now won races, and Ryan Ferris and the team, now they have a shout at winning the championship.
So Bourdais has got the gap down. It's now under 20 seconds. What's the gap over the line? 19.4. So by the time Dixon rejoins, he'll be about a couple of seconds behind Bourdais. Having said that, the Frenchman is still to come in for his second and final stop, as is Van Dorn. Van Dorn is not necessarily closing in now on the Onyx driver, although Van Dorn's on older tyres than the Frenchman. Verline and Freins will be closing in as they make use of the clear track they've got in front of him to go after the leaders. As Andretti is about to lose position to his teammate Romain Grosjean down into the first turn, and Grosjean gets through and up into 7th.
Grosjean having a fine race at the moment so far, running now in P7. Both of the man is well within the points now. They had a really rocky first half of the season and they were sort of scared really about being relegated down into League 2 for next season. But with bringing on Romain Grosjean, their fortunes have turned around, and they are now pretty much safely out of contention for relegation. Sam Ball very happy with the second half of the season that his team has put in. And here we go, Tom. Scott Dixon now into the pits.
So this is probably Dixon's most important stop of the season so far. What can they do for the Kiwi as he comes in for what should be his only stop of the race? He'll go in front of Van Dorn, but he will be behind Bourdais.
But Bourdais still has to make another pit stop of his own, so Dixon still holding the advantage. And there we go, you can see on the graphic, Bourdais is indeed into the lead of the League 1 Buenos Aires Grand Prix, but still with a pit stop to make. Dixon on a one-stop strategy, still in the net lead of this race, and Van Dorn leading earlier on from pole position. He was forced into the pits with a brake problem, recovered well back up into P3, and Simtek on for a good haul of points here today. On Wehrlein's off! What has happened to Wehrlein there? Robin Freight looking in his mirrors to see what's gone on there with the AGS, and it looks like Wehrlein has had an engine problem. Coming out of the final corner, and he will pull over to the side of the circuit. Looks like he might have gone over the grass a bit roughly there. And, oh no, he's been hit by Freins! So Robin Freins has pulled over on Pascal Wehrlein there. And that is a horrible move from the Dutchman. We're going to get another look at it here. He can't see where he's going because of Wehrlein's smoke up ahead of him. And Wehrlein pulling over to the side of the circuit. Freins going to go round him and just turns back in too early. And Freins, I mean, I know that Wehrlein was already retiring, but Freins has effectively taken Wehrlein out there and put him into an even bigger accident, Tom.
Yeah, I just want to see where Wehrlein's positioned actually. I know he's being pushed away now by the marshals, but I think that the problem you've got is, whilst Wehrlein had his problem, Freins' collision with him could have caused problems for others, not just for Wehrlein.
I wonder what the stewards are going to be saying about that one, and I think I have to remind you, Tom, last time we saw an incident like that, it was between Jack Aitken and Valentino Rossi at the Magny-Cours Grand Prix, and do you know what happened with that one, Tom?
Yeah, it was a one race ban for Aitken.
It was a one race ban for Aitken, and with Robin Freins at the head of the championship going into this race, a one race ban is the last thing that he needs. But I mean, I know that Super Guri is my team. I want to see Freins win the championship, but looking at it completely from an unbiased point of view, I feel as though, Tom, if you've applied a one race ban to Jack Aitken for his incident with Rossi and Magny-Cours, I feel as though it has to be the same this time around.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And who's your reserve driver, by the way, at Super Guri?
It is Oliver Rowland.
Ah, who's not raced in the Grand Prix World Series yet, has he?
No, he has not. But might be getting his debut in Laguna Seca. That has thrown the championship even wider open this time around, because we have Scott Dixon running in the lead at the moment, and with Robin Freins now set for a race ban, Dixon will be rubbing his hands together with the lead there. And is that an end to a championship charge for Freins? We'll see what the stewards think of that one. But I think, Tom, I don't think we'll see Freins in Laguna Seca, will we?
No, I don't either. Grosjean's just come into the pits, by the way, Topher. He's got out in 10th place. It promotes Roy Masani to 8th place. This is crucial for the relegation battle.
It is absolutely crucial. So much going on between all of these cars, really. We've got a fight for the championship up in front, which has just had its doors blown wide open by that incident with Robin Frains, who we suspected will be flashing up on the screen anytime soon that he is under investigation. But then at the bottom half of the field, the battle for relegation arrested there in P12 at the moment. Nissani in P8, Markelov in P15. So at the moment, 40 Corsi on for 4 points here. That could be crucial when we come to season's end, Tom.
So Bourdais in the lead, 4.2 seconds in front of Dixon as De Vries goes off himself.
And De Vries into the wall. That looks like a big incident there for the Dutchman. We'll hopefully get a replay of that. That is a huge crash there for Nick De Vries. He was running well on course for some points here today, was the BAR driver. Not what he wanted, and looks like we're not quite getting a replay of what's gone on there, but Nick De Vries out of the race.
I'm just looking back on the string, Topher, in terms of the spin for De Vries, just having a look. He's lost it all by himself. He's lost it completely all by himself, and as he hit that bump on the grass, that saw the front wheel come off, and then the rear wheel as he hit the barrier.
Right, it's just flashed up here on the computer screen, Tom. The incident between Robin Frains and Pascal Wehrlein is under investigation, so absolutely no surprise there. But what will a penalty be? Will the stewards feel as though they'll be lenient, given that there's a championship battle going on, and maybe just give him back at a grid penalty? But I feel as though, Tom, in terms of consistency from the stewards, I don't think there's much other option there. I know that Wehrlein was already retiring in that race, but still, it was a completely unnecessary move from Frains to pull across the German like that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and that could have a massive say on the championship as well. De Resta tries to get in front of Andretti. Needs to get in front here, De Resta, with Enger already well down the order. It's all down to him now to see what he can salvage for the Midland team.
A little bit of a lock-up there for Tatiana Calderon, having a really below-par performance today, must be said. Already been off track twice here today, and a lock-up there as well. Not doing her chances any favours whatsoever. She is outside the top 15. But look at this, Tom, actually. In P12 at the moment is Simona Di Silvestro. So could she maybe get herself some points in this race, should we have any more attrition? And maybe just, prolong relegation until the next race?
Looking at the gap now, Bourdais actually pointing out a margin on Dixon rather than the other way round. I wonder if Dixon's getting held up behind traffic at the moment.
It is quite possible, but with Bourdais having to pit one more time in this race, I don't think Dixon is too worried. I think more than anything he'll be worried about the reliability of that Syntec and just making sure that he can get that car to the end of this race. As it stands, it will be a double podium for the Syntec team, which will be crucial as they chase down Super Aguri, currently running P4 and P5 to Costa, now ahead of Frains at the moment on lap 33 out of 54. Behind them, Buemi ahead of Nico Hulkenberg, Nissani running in 8th, and then the two Manas of Grosjean and Andretti doing their best to make sure that Mana avoids the drop for next season. I think with this result here today, Tom, Mana will be safe going into Laguna Seca.
Yeah, they'll be absolutely fine, and I think Prost won't want to be feeling too comfortable at the moment, but they've still got a reasonable gap over the likes of 40, Midland and Minardi. I think with Minardi, with the situation with them at the moment, it looks rather desperate, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Stoffel Van Dorn, you can see there, coming up to the back of one of the Minardis there. He won't want to run into any troubles with that particular back marker. Van Dorn, he led from pole position earlier on, had a brake problem, and was forced into pits. Has done very well actually to recover up to P3. As we look now as Scott Dixon running board came, looked like he got a little bit wide there through the Ascari curve, but able to hold on to the Syntec, and he continues in P2 but in the next lead. And Tom, race control. Robin Frains receives a 1 race ban for dangerous driving.
It was inevitable.
I said it earlier, I felt as though that if they gave the 1 race ban to Jack Aitken for his indiscretion with Valentino Rossi, then the exact same penalty would have to be applied for Robin Frains. The stewards have agreed, and our championship leader, this will be his last action of the season today, with Dixon on course to win this race. That is a crucial hammer blow to Robin Frains and to the Subaru Aguri team. Robin Frames will not see the season finale, and Da Costa into the pits now for what should be his final pit stop. Went a little bit wide there, trying to carry some speed through the hairpin of the pit entry, but I'm pretty sure this will be his last pit stop and he will go to the end of this race, pitting in from P4. It's been a great drive so far from Da Costa. 22 laps of fuel on board. He is indeed going to the end of this race. On the other side is Super Guri garage. Robin Frains, this will be his last race this season. And what do you think he's feeling right now, Tom?
I mean, he must be feeling, I really should not have done that. So he's got to really put his foot down now and get a really good result of it. He's got to go for the victory, hasn't he?
I mean, he has to. He hasn't received a disqualification from this race. There's nothing been flashed up about that, so he can still score points from today, but he will just not race in Laguna Seca. Super Guri, their reserve driver, as we mentioned earlier, is Oliver Rowland, so he will more than likely be making his debut in the Grand Prix World Series at the next round, the season finale in California. We ride on board now with Scott Dixon, who's closed the gap in a little bit more on Sebastian Bourdais now. The gap was just over 5 seconds a lap or two ago. Now down to 4.8, and here we go, Tom. Bourdais into the pits for his final pit stop. This will promote Dixon back into the lead, but Bourdais on fresher tyres.
Yeah, and Van Dorn will go up to second as well. He's not far behind Dixon, actually. He's only a few seconds off him, so Bourdais should rejoin in third place ahead of Frains.
And Bourdais does indeed drop down behind the two Civitek drivers. Civitek now running first and second. And this is going to be so crucial when it comes to a championship battle, because Civitek, they are behind Super Guri in the standings at the moment. Going into this race, it was a gap of 37 points. And Civitek now on course for what would be maximum points. Van Dorn to pole. And oh, Tom Christensen's gone off in a huge way there. And that is going to be a possible retirement there. He's lost his rear wing and his front wing. Tom Christensen spinning off the track there, and a bit more damage falling off the track there as he ramps over, and there we go, the wheel has fallen off, and he has made a right hash of that. Tom Christensen spinning out of the race and damaging the car while trying to recover, and he becomes another retirement in this race.
I mean, that's one of the Minardi's that he's had a really poor season, hasn't he, Christensen? He hasn't scored a point since the Sepang Grand Prix in round 3.
And in that Sepang Grand Prix, he finished second. We thought Tom Christensen... Oh, Nakajima's off as well. So what's happened to the Japanese driver here? We're looking at the replay of it now. Coming down into turn 3. And oh, he's done the same as what other drivers have done. He's gone across the curb, but dropped it even harder than some of the other drivers. Into the barrier, he's lost 2 of his wheels. And the Japanese driver now out of this race. That will not do Onyx Hopes any chances when it comes to the Constructors' Championship. They are right there in the fight for this Constructors' Championship, and with Nakajima dropping out of the race, they've got Bourdais in third at the moment. They can still get some good points on the board, but that's not what Ryan Ferris will want to see from his other driver.
So looking at the race order then, with Nissani coming into the pits, he's now in 14th place. De Rest is up into the points in 10th for Midland.
We've also got Simona Di Silvestro there in P11, maybe taking some points off of the drivers fighting to avoid relegation should we have any more attrition within the top 10. Di Silvestro running a fine race at the moment there in P11. That Mastercar Lola has had absolutely no pace at all since the season opening Vancouver non-championship Grand Prix. She won that but didn't get any points for it because it's non-championship. Since they're not really doing anything noteworthy apart from a 10th place finish in Chennai, she is now into the pits along with Paul Di Resta. This will be the last few 2 stoppers coming into the pits now. We will see what the true order is as we look towards the conclusion of today's event in Buenos Aires. Markelov into P10, PK is 11th, Nissani up into 12th now, and Di Resta will stay ahead of Simona Di Silvestro and falls behind Kamui Kobayashi. Di Resta even falls behind Junken Dea now, so behind the Minardi with whom they are fighting to avoid relegation with. So that is a crucial pit stop there for the Midland Racing Team. Di Resta will now be on the fresher tyres, as Van Dorn now into pits for what will be his final pit stop.
So Frains in 4th place should get in front of Van Dorn, which should be crucial for Frains' championship hope. Although, if he finishes, if he's second or lower in the championship by the end of this race, he cannot win the title.
There's so much at play when we're thinking about the Drivers' Championship. So much going on. Frains running in 3rd at the moment, but with a race ban going into the next race, and his championship will be done at the end of this race. Can he get any points onto the board? points that could be crucial. If he can hold the lead in the championship going into the final round in Laguna Seca, and then his rivals do not score enough points, Fraines can still win the championship, but that race ban will not do his chances any favours whatsoever. Scott Dixon in the lead of this race, comfortably in the lead of this race, with Bourdais now in second place. Markelov coming into the pits as Marco Andretti is out of the race. One of the men is falling out of this race, and it is an engine problem for Marco Andretti, who's running in the points, and he is now out of the Grand Prix. A bitter blow there for Sam Hall, but I think his mission accomplished for the Manor team anyway. They wanted to avoid relegation, and I think it's safe to say, Tom, they have done that.
Yeah, I think that's the first retirement for Marco Andretti since Kyalami. So he's had a good reliability record and good finishing record this season.
You are absolutely correct there, Tom. He finished, well, he didn't finish in Kyalami, and since then, he's got 5 points finishes, including a second place finish in Birmingham, his only podium of his career so far. And this time around, he's not going to be picking up any points today. There is Andre Lotterer, now in P15. What a disaster this race has been for the German, Tom.
Yeah, it's been absolutely dreadful for him, and this is not what he needs. And, well, it's all down to Dixon now, isn't it? No, because if he wins this race, that's him on the verge of clinching the title. He won't clinch it today, but this is very much, it's very much in his own hands, isn't it?
Well, Dixon's currently on course for 25 points. I think Van Dorn still has the fastest lap, so let's say 25 points for Dixon, which will put him on to 145 points. Fraines running in P3 at the moment, that will get him 15 points, and he will be 5 points behind Dixon at the conclusion of this race. And actually, Tom, if it finishes like this, the only two drivers who can win the championship would be Dixon and Fraines. So with Fraines not able to take part in Laguna Seca, actually it looks like if Dixon wins this race, Dixon will be champion. I'm trying to think through in my head to make the calculations to see if that is actually correct. But yeah, I think it might depend on what the likes of Da Costa do in this race as well, because Da Costa currently running in P5, can he make any headway into the advantage that Van Dorn has? So basically we went into this race, Tom, with Fraines, the only driver being able to win the championship, but now with him receiving a race ban and not able to compete in Laguna Seca, I think Dixon now can actually win the title today.
It's possible, but would you be appealing it as the team manager of Super Aguri?
I will be completely honest with you, Tom. I'm a fair guy when it comes to this sort of racing, and looking at the incident objectively, I do have to agree with the stewards that if they did give a race ban to Jack Aitken for what he did to Valentino Rossi and Magny-Cours, I don't think I can really argue too much about what Fraines did to Pascal Wehrlein there. I think the only point of argue that I would have was that Wehrlein was retiring anyway, but still, the manoeuvre that Fraines did to move over on Wehrlein like that, to be completely honest, I don't think there is any point in appealing that.
I was just going to say, there's always the back of the grid penalty, which is better than getting a race back.
There is that is true, but as far as Stewart's consistency goes, like I said, if they gave that penalty to Jack Aitken, I feel as though that it has to be given to Fraines as well. It's something to talk about after the race, but I will be honest, I don't think that an appeal would be successful.
So I was just going to say, even if Dixon was to win this race and wins the title with Fraines' race ban as it is, I wouldn't want to be celebrating if I was Scott Woodward.
Well, Scott Woodward, he had a very difficult season one. There's a few opportunities where he could have been in for a race victory, but events transpired against him and he came away with no wins at the end of season one. Went into season two with a new mentality of win or bust, and it has got him a good number of victories so far. Just counting them up now, it's got him 6 victories so far this season, and he's right up there fighting for the championship. So I think if I was in Scott Woodward's position, I don't think I'd mind too much how I get the championship, just as long as it happens.
So Dixon coming up to overtake or put a lap on Andre Lotterer.
Oh, we're pushing there. Oh, Scott Dixon has gone into Andre Lotterer, and this changes everything. As far as the championship is concerned, Dixon, we were just saying that there was a chance for him to win the championship today with Fraines not able to race at Laguna Seca. Now let's have a look at the replay. Dixon down the inside of Andre Lotterer, and that is completely on Dixon. I have to say it. he locked up into the side of the BMS Scuderia there. Dixon has thrown away this race by locking up into the side of Andre Lotterer. We now ride on board with the Kiwi. Let's have a look at it from his point of view down the inside. And, oh yeah, he has just locked up straight into the side there.
Yeah.
That's completely on Dixon, I'm afraid to say.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you, Topher. Dixon just locked up. He didn't need to pass Lotterer there, you know, in a corner where so few overtakes have been done there, and he's completely done that all by himself. And I have to say, that is completely Dixon's fault.
We were just talking about all the championship permutations, Tom, and then that happened. Scott Dixon has gone and thrown it all away. His damaged Simtek being carried off the circuit there. Sebastian Bourdais is now into lead, and Robin Fraines now into second place. So it is back to being advantage Fraines in this race, and so much has gone on today, Tom. It's difficult to keep track, but Dixon into the side of Andre Lotterer and is now out of the race. Sebastian Bourdais now on course for his second victory in a row, and that might bring him back into contention for this championship as well. He'll get the 25 points there, and that will put him up around about maybe where Dixon is in the championship at the moment. We're waiting for an updated set of points to come through at the moment, but Scott Dixon has thrown it all away. Lotterer and Innocent Party after that.
About to be overtaken by Van Dorn.
There we go, Van Dorn down the inside of Robin Fraines, and that will be a move that will be beneficial to the Simtek team and to Scott Dixon. Van Dorn will have been told that Dixon is out of the race, and by doing that he has taken more points off of Robin Fraines when you look at it from a championship point of view. So a very important move there for Van Dorn and for Simtek. Fraines down into third place, Da Costa up into fourth, as well as Super Guri on for a good haul of points here. Simtek on now for 18, possibly 19 or 20, with the bonus points there as well. And this instance for Dixon has thrown it all wide open. Once again, Bourdais can bring himself back into contention for the championship. Just got the updated point standings through here, Tom. Bourdais will go on to 110 points if he goes on to win this race. Third place for Fraines will put him on 140, which will be 20 ahead of Dixon. Da Costa's fourth place will give him 115 or 25 points. So if it finishes like this, Tom, only Fraines, Dixon or Da Costa can win this race, and Fraines has a 20-point advantage. But having said that, Tom, we still have 13 laps left to go here, and you know as well as I do, anything can happen in the Grand Prix World Series.
Very much so. This is Fraines' championship to lose once again, with Dixon out of it. Oh, with Dixon out of the race, just to say, as Hulkenberg puts a lap on the MasterCard Lola. And another thing to touch on, Topher, is the relegation battle, because Roy Nissany is now in 9th place, and with those 2 points for 40, that changes things, because they went into the round second from bottom. If it stays as it is, I think they would get out of the relegation zone on countback.
Just working it out now, 2 points would put them level on points with Midland Racing. Midland's best result is a 4th place in Fuji earlier this year. 40 Corsi also have a 4th place from Adelaide, so looking at a number of 5th places, to me... actually, no, sorry, 40 has 2 4th places. They've got one in Magny-Cours as well, so on countback, 40 would move out of the relegation zone with 1 race to go. I've asked this question of you so many times, Tom. How close do you want it?
A very good question. And there's also a battle between Paul Di Resta and Daniel Youngkin-Dea. I think Di Resta just got in front of Youngkin-Dea for 11th place, so if someone else drops out ahead of him, or if Kobayashi gets out or drops out ahead of him, then that's another point gain for Di Resta, and for the Midland team.
So let's take a bit of stock quickly here, Tom. It's lap 43 out of 54. Sebastian Bourdais leads. Stoffel Van Dorn, there he is in 2nd place. Robin Fraines, our championship leader, in 3rd. Da Costa from 23rd on the grid up to 4th. Sebastian Buemi as well, he is up into P5, having started this race dead last. Great drive from both he and Da Costa. Roman Grosjean putting in a quiet but solid performance to run in 6th at the moment. Hülkenberg in 7th had a Piquet Jr. recovering from his spin earlier on to be in P8. Roy Nissany 2 points incoming as it stands for the 40 Corsi team, and Kamui Kobayashi in P10. There is our race leader, Sebastian Bourdais, benefiting from the decline of Scott Dixon after he ran into the side of Andre Lotterer while trying to put a lap on the German. And fair to say, it is all Dixon's fault in that one. I don't think Scott Woodward or anyone can really argue otherwise in that one. Lotterer did everything he could to get out of the way, and Dixon careering into the side of him. And that could be so crucial when it comes to this championship battle. We run aboard now with Stoffel Vandoorne, who immediately responded to Dixon's retirement. Got back past Robin Frains up into P2 to take 3 points off of the Dutchman. And it looks now like Frains is indeed settling for P3 in this race. He is 3.9 seconds behind Stoffel Vandoorne and 6.3 ahead of DaCosta. He's all out on his own at the moment. It's now just damage limitation, isn't it, Tom?
Yep. I'm just looking at Vandoorne's gap to Bourdais, 7.1 in the last sector. Over the line, it's now 7 seconds. I don't see Vandoorne getting past Bourdais, to be honest with you, unless Bourdais decides to make a mistake himself.
So Sebastian Bourdais 7 seconds in the lead over Stoffel Vandoorne at the moment, looking very comfortable at the moment as we are on the 11th to last lap here in Buenos Aires, and he's on course for what would be a second victory of the season. Stoffel Vandoorne there in P2. Out of contention for the championship, but looking to make up any lost points possible for the Simtek team. Romain Frains and DaCosta, 3rd and 4th for the Super Guri team. Buemi 5th for the VAR squad. And looking at the gap between Vandoorne and Bourdais, Vandoorne has actually closed down a bit on Sebastian Bourdais here. The gap's now down to 6.9 seconds. Or a little bit of a lock-up there for Kamui Kobayashi from P10, hoping to bring home at least a point for the Yarrows team, who will be under new management going into next season. Emma Butterworth not continuing with the team into Season 3. And we will wait for any official news on that to come through once the season reaches its conclusion. Paul di Resta, 2.3 seconds off the back of Kobayashi at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on that gap, because any points now gained for Midland will be crucial as they fight the likes of Forti Corsi and Minardi to avoid relegation, with Nisani now in P9. Di Resta needs to close in on Kobayashi as much as possible, Tom.
So just looking at Bourdais at the moment in the lead, 6.7 seconds is the gap, so 3/10 Vandoorne is taking out of his margin on the last lap alone. I don't see him doing it, to be honest with you. Simone Di Silvestro trying to get through on the Minardi of Dani Yokodea, which she's had a relatively good race actually as Di Silvestro when you think of it, Topher. She's ahead of Markelov, she's ahead of Lotterer, and I believe she's ahead of the likes of Salo and Calderon as well. So Di Silvestro, this has been a solid performance from her, and to be fair, if MasterCard Lola are going to go down, they're going to go down without a fight.
This is the sort of performance that we were expecting to see from Simona Di Silvestro, the giant killing performances, and she's making the most of what she's got with that Lola and the engine that they have on board. There's a Cosworth engine in the back of that Lola, and Di Silvestro running P13 at the moment, not on course for points, but given how we usually see that Lola right at the back of the grid, I think she can be very satisfied with how she's running in this race at the moment. And Tom, quick note here from Race Control. The incident between Dixon and Lotterer, no investigation necessary. So what I'm gleaning from that, Tom, is that it feels so that it was Dixon at fault, but given how he took himself out of the race through that incident, they don't need to apply a penalty to that one because it's out anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that from the stewards. Just looking at the gap between Bourdais and Vandoorne, 6.3 seconds, so another 4/10 as Vandoorne taking out of Bourdais' lead. And to see there's a battle there between, I think that's PK Jr. and Nisani fighting over 8th place. So Nisani, if he can get another couple of points, that would be very handy for the Forti team.
So PK and Nisani both putting a lap on Tatiana Calderon there, who is way out of contention in this race. And is Robin Frains coming to a slow? Yes, he is. Oh, Robin Frains was set to benefit from the crash earlier on for Dixon, but he's now out of this race as well. It's a transmission problem. The gearbox says no more in that Super Guri. That is a real shame for the Dutchman there, who was set to make a huge leap towards this title, but it will be no points there for Robin Frains. He's out of this race. That puts his teammate DaCosta into 3rd place, having started at the back of the grid. It's all kicking off in this race, Tom. There's so much going on, and it's with the championship contenders as well.
Yeah. And Bourdais, this is good news for Sebastian Bourdais as well now, because with him leading and with Frains and Dixon out of it, he's got himself a golden opportunity to get into the hunt for the title in going into the last round of the season at Laguna Seca.
So Frains and Dixon will both stay on 125 and 120 points respectively. Bourdais would go up onto 110 points for this win, but DaCosta, with his 3rd place that he has at the moment, that would be 118 points for him. So 7 points would be Da Costa off the lead of the championship. Bourdais would be 15 points off. Hulkenberg with his 6th place, he'll be on 109 and 16 points off the lead of the championship. So it would just be those 5 drivers still in contention, I believe. There'll be Frains, Da Costa, Dixon, Bourdais and Hulkenberg. So 5 drivers still able to win this championship with 1 race to go. But don't count your chickens until they've hatched, Tom. We still have 6 laps left to go here in Buenos Aires. Could we have any more late retirements in this race?
I don't want to jinx it, but it's very much possible. Bourdais' gap to Van Dorn 5.7 seconds now. So this Van Dorn, this is basically, he needs to help his teammate, doesn't he? And for Syntec. In fact, this is good news for Syntec with Frains out of the race. That throws the constructors' battle wide open again.
It does indeed. If it finishes like this, Super Guri will move up onto 243 points. Onyx would be second on 216. And Syntec would be third on 209. They would be the only 3 teams able to win the title this season. And as it stands, it's still looking good for Super Guri, because there's 45 points still up for grabs at the last round. Onyx 27 behind and Syntec 34 behind. It would probably take a double non-points finish for Super Guri for Onyx or Syntec to overturn that sort of deficit. But as I said, Tom, we still have laps left to go here. Could we have any problems befalling the likes of Bourdais, Van Dorn or Da Costa up in front? I really hope not. I'd love to see this battle go through to the end as Van Dorn closes in even more on Bourdais in the last couple of sectors alone. He's close in half a sector. Is Van Dorn mounting a late challenge for the win here?
Possibly. I'm looking at this battle as well between Kobayashi and De Resta. For De Resta to get through, this is important for him. Can he get an extra point for the Midland team?
He's running in 10th at the moment, which would be 1.4 million. The Danny Juncadea just over 6 seconds behind the points as well in a Minardi. Not on course to challenge De Resta or Kobayashi at the moment, but De Resta trying to get all over the back of Kamui Kobayashi and find a way past the arrows. Every point counts when it comes to this championship, not just for the title, but also for the relegation battle, as we said a few times now in this race. Thomas Enger running in P15 as well. He's a lap down from Sebastian Bourdais, so Enger not going to challenge for the points in this race. With Paul De Resta less than a second behind Kamui Kobayashi. Can he make that count as we wind down to the end of this race?
So Bourdais coming up to lap the BMS Scuderia Italia of Andre Lotto, and now he's got to be careful not to make the same mistake as what Scott Dixon did. As you can see, Da Costa getting past the Midland of Thomas Enger as he goes past. So Da Costa very much on course for another podium finish. And very much from the back of the grid as well, Topher. Can't forget that.
Absolutely. Antonio Fix Da Costa started this race in 23rd and is now running 3rd, up 20 positions. And PK getting wide there. I don't think he's got any damage. I think it was just a bit of a ride across the grass there. He got wide, ran across the grass, and I think he's very lucky there to get away without any damage to that BMS Scuderia Italia. That was coming out of the Cajon corner, got very wide, and I think PK has absolutely got away with that one, but he has conceded position to Roy Nassani now in P7. How crucial is that going to be when it comes to the relegation battle? Because Nassani is now on course for 6 championship points at the end of this race, should he stay there. PK has fallen a bit behind the Israeli now. This is getting so spicy, isn't it, Tom?
It is. It's getting very intense in the last few laps. 4.2 seconds is the gap now between Bourdais and Van Dorn. I think Bourdais lost a little bit of time being stuck behind the back mark of Lotterer, so we'll see what the gap is when both cross over the line. 4 seconds it is. So Van Dorn very much within him in with only 4 laps left though. So I think Van Dorn's going to run out of time, but he'll give it a good old try.
4 laps to go, 4 seconds behind it. Will need to be at least a second a lap, ideally more, because as you know, Tom, catching is one thing, passing is another. But Van Dorn throwing everything at this race at the moment.
Absolutely everything indeed. As he comes up to the right-hander, how close is he to Lotterer now? He'll be right up to him in a moment or so. Yeah, he's just up there ahead, so he's got a bit of ground to make up before he does get onto the tail of him. He's dropped back another 10th though in that first sector, so Bourdais beginning to pull out more of a gap now as the laps continue to wind down.
Here's a little fun fact for you, Tom, and for all of our viewers at home. If Stoffel Van Dorn does finish second in this race and doesn't overtake Bourdais for the lead, it will be the first time this season that a Simtech has finished on the podium and it hasn't been P1.
That's incredible.
That is absolutely incredible from the Simtech team. Whenever they've scored big, it's been from a victory. They've got so many victories this season, so many pole positions as well. But they've never finished second, and they've never finished third. And that could be about to change, because looking at the gap now between Bourdais and Van Dorn, Van Dorn's needing at least a second a lap, and he's only closed in 3/10 in that last sector. So I don't think that this is on for Van Dorn. He hasn't yet cleared Lotterer, actually. And I wonder if he's being a little bit tentative around the German, given what happened to Dixon. So Van Dorn not closing in as much as he needs to, and it looks like Van Dorn will indeed stay in second place as Hulkenberg has done what Piquet did, and he's now got damage to the front wing there. Hulkenberg running a P6 on the motor, and he will have to come into the pits. That is going to give even more points to Roy Nissany, who will move up into P6 as a result. Looking at the timings as well, I believe now Hulkenberg might just come out in front of Kobayashi and the rest. It depends on how quickly the Arrows team can repair that front wing. Van Dorn now on the back of Andre Lotterer and finds his way through at the chicane. Van Dorn, I think his race is run now. I don't think he has enough time left to catch up to the back Bourdais. Yeah, there we go, through that sector split. It's now up to 4.8 seconds. Lotterer effectively ruining Van Dorn's run towards a potential race victory there. Now, where is Hulkenberg going to come out? Because this is going to be crucial for 40 and for Midland. He's out in P8. So Nissany has benefited to move up into P6 and get some extra points there, but De Resta has not benefited. So this is changing the complexion of the relegation battle there. Nissany putting in a fine drive today to get himself up into P6. There will be 8 points for himself and for the 40 Corsa team. That will put them up onto 49. Actually 1 point behind Prost and 5 ahead of Midland. So that is going to be such an important result there for Nissany.
So just thinking with Hulkenberg coming out on fresh tyres, can he go for the fastest lap maybe?
That is an absolute possibility. I'm not sure if the Arrows will quite have the engine power compared to the Simtech, I believe, that currently holds it. I think it might be Van Dorn that still has that fastest lap. We will get confirmation of that at the end of the race. But we are now on the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix, and there is your race leader, Sebastian Bourdais. He has a comfortable gap now of 4.4 seconds to Stoffel Van Dorn in second. But he's coming up to a bit of traffic here. And is this Da Costa going slowly?
Yes, please, he's got a problem. Oh, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I thought he did for a moment there, but we'll need to maybe have a look on the television as to whether he has actually got a problem.
I mean, to me, it looked like he was going slower down the straight than usual. So I hope that's not a developing problem for Antonio Felix da Costa, but he genuinely, to me, did look slower than usual going through that corner. So it might be a developing problem for da Costa. I really hope not, because it's been a fantastic drive for the Portuguese driver, P23 to P3, and that can be crucial points for him with regards to the championship. We're right on board with him now, the Portuguese driver, P3 in the Super Guri, 15.9 seconds off the lead of this race. We are now on the final lap. Sebastian Bourdais in the lead ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn. The gap is 3.8 seconds, and it looks like Sebastian Bourdais will indeed be going on and taking his second victory in a row and thrusting himself right into the thick of this championship battle. And Bourdais, Tom, he's only done half the season and he can win this championship.
Yeah, very much so. See De Resta trying to make a move on Kobayashi for 9th. He needs to try and get past him if he can here, De Resta.
And De Resta still in 10th place. He's trying everything he can to get past Kamui Kobayashi. We now look again at Antonio Felix da Costa. And he is slowing down. He is coming to a slow, Tom. Antonio Felix da Costa, we thought he might have had some sort of problem brewing in that car, and he has indeed. The gearbox has gone on the Super Guri. And oh, that is such a shame. It's looking so good for Super Guri today, and it has now come to nothing for the Japanese team. Fraines retiring earlier on, and now da Costa out from P3. Oh, that's such a shame.
Yeah, we need to go to the leaders actually, because Bourdais and Van Dorn are about to cross over the line to complete their final lap.
Well, amongst the slew of traffic, Bourdais does indeed come out to the final corner, and he will cross the line. Bourdais makes it 2 in a row. He's in the thick of the championship, and he wins the League 1 Buenos Aires Grand Prix. Van Dorn, what a drive from him. He overcame a brake problem earlier on and still comes home in second position. Important points for Simtech, especially with Super Guri dropping out right at the end there. We'll have to have a check of those championship points once everyone has crossed the line. And here is Sebastian Buemi. Now, Buemi, he started this race dead last, and he comes home with a podium. What a drive from Buemi, P3 for the Swiss driver. Excellent job by him. And Roman Grosjean benefits from all of this as well. We've hardly seen him all race, and he's going to come home in P4. Good points there for Sam Hall and for the Manor team. And P5 will be Roy Nissany. He hasn't crossed the line yet, but how crucial is that going to be for the 40 Corsi team? There he is. You can see Piquet Jr. behind him. Piquet not able to respond to the Israeli once he got past earlier on. Out of the final corner. It's going to be 10 points for 40 Corsi, and that lifts them out of the relegation zone with 1 round left to go. Great job there by Nissany. Nelson Piquet Jr. comes across the line in P6. And Nico Hulkenberg on the fresh tyres. Can he get the fastest lap and steal it away from Simtek? Not sure if he will get a job done as he crosses the line. No, he hasn't. It's going to be double points finish for Arrows with Kobayashi in 8th. The rest are 2 points in P9 and a point for Danny Junkendaya in P10. Just ahead of Artem Markelov, actually. Very nearly getting a point there, Tom.
Yeah, he nearly got it there, but at least Minardi got something out of that. They wouldn't have thought it at the beginning of the race. But a great day for Sebastian Bourdais and for the Onyx team. They are in contention for the title going into the last round of the season. And boy, what isn't going to be so hectic.
So, Sebastian Bourdais wins ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn. Sebastian Buemi last to third. A great drive from him. Roman Grosjean fourth ahead of Roy Nissany in the 40 Corsi. Sixth, Nelson Piquet Jr. ahead of Hulkenberg, Kobayashi, Di Resta and Junkendaya, our final point scorer. Markov just missing out in 11th. Da Costa retiring right to the end there. Di Silvestro 13th ahead of Lotterer. Thomas Enger finishing in P15 ahead of Salo and Calderon. And then our retirements. Frains, Dixon, Andretti, Nakajima, Christensen, De Vries, Wehrlein, Magnussen and Wittmann. Fastest lap actually goes to Antonio Felix da Costa, so he does take home a point out of all of that. And so much going on in that race, Tom. Antonio Felix da Costa set to finish in P3 from the back of the grid, retiring right at the end there. What a drive from him. What a drive from Sebastian Buemi as well. But more importantly, we have ourselves a fantastic prospect of a battle set up for the final race in Laguna Seca.
Absolutely, and we're going to be in for a brilliant encounter, not just for the drivers, but for the constructors as well. I think in League 2, it's all but done, apart from the Drivers' Championship, of course, because there's multiple drivers still in contention, and it's the same with League 1 as well. I really cannot wait for Laguna Seca in a week's time.
So your championship points at the end of that race. Robin Frains on 125, Scott Dixon on 120. Bourdais' victory there, his third of the season, puts him on 110. He's only 15 points off the lead of the championship with 1 round to go. Nico Hulkenberg gets 7th place and that puts him on 107. And then Da Costa gets 1 point for fastest lap. He's on 104. And those top 5 are the only ones who can now win the championship. Lotterer with his 14th place finish out of contention. Stoffel Van Dorn 2nd place today, but not enough to keep himself in contention as well. 21 points covers the top 5. 27 points up for grabs in the drivers. And in the constructors, having a quick look at that now, Super Guri on 229 points, 13 ahead of Onyx and 20 ahead of Simtek. This is so exciting with 1 round left to go, Tom. Any predictions?
I would say, I think in reality, Dixon is the favourite to do it. I really honestly think, providing he gets to the end of the race, if he finishes the race, he's won the championship, no question. Although with Bourdais' form recently, that has given Onyx and himself a real chance at it.
Well, don't forget, folks, going into the final round in Laguna Seca, we will have one final upgrade window. Any prize money that the teams have left over, they can throw it into their cars in the form of either power or reliability. What will the team managers look to do going into the final race? I think Onyx will have quite a lot of prize money to play with going into the season finale. It could change the complexion of the championship battle, but for now, we look forward to one last outing here in Season 2, and it will be at Laguna Seca with the famous corkscrew you see there. Grand Prix World Series driver Alex Zanardi pulling off the move, as it's known within the world of American single-seater racing. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic season finale, isn't it, Tom?
Most certainly so, and I really cannot wait for it. And do please tune in for it, because it's going to be one brilliant last round of the season. And boy, is it going to be a good advert for next season as well, Topher.
Absolutely. We are introducing a third league into the championship in Season 3. More opportunities for more team principals to join and get involved in what has been a fantastic series to watch and to be a part of as a team principal. But for now, we await the season finale. I'm Topher Smith. Alongside me, Tom Kent. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you do not miss what is going to be an absolute masterclass of a showdown in California next time out. See you then.